If you've ever won a 54 hole tournament by sinking a key putt on the 53rd hole of said tournament, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. We are back for another week here in the market. It's going to be a full week and it's going to be a busy one. We got a huge move up on Friday from Powell. We've got NVIDIA earnings coming this week. We've got PCE coming on Friday. A lot of stuff to go through here this week. Ryan's excited to be back. Football is back. There's a fall breeze in the air, and we are out here ready to go. Benzinga's pre-market playbook, the Monday edition for August 25th, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. And I'll be honest, it's really good to be back. Did miss you guys last week, but boy, oh boy, what a day we had on Friday. Hope y'all are doing well. We're going to cover all of that here today. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here. Corey is first. Good morning, Corey. Welcome back. Happy Monday. Hope you're ready to go. Nestor Durant. Good morning. My theory, Intel stock without the foundry is $40 to $60. If they get one major customer like Apple, their stock is going to skyrocket. Intel popping here. Good morning, Nestor. Welcome back. Crimp Biscuit. Good morning. Welcome back. Jay Grant. Good morning and welcome back. Kayla. Welcome back. PD Kate. Welcome back. Francis and Mama Bear. Welcome back. AC. Welcome back. Zach McCracken. Welcome back. Hey, how's Ondas doing for you, Zach? Wink. Sean, good morning. Welcome back. Ondas Daddy. Yes. Let's go. I am happy. Really relieved to see everyone is taking advantage of this, or at least a lot of people are taking advantage of this. That makes me super happy. We have lots of W's flowing around here, and I am here for it. Sun-Kissed Yogi, good morning. What is your favorite yoga move? Just out of curiosity. Chuck, good morning. Welcome back. Big Bear Hug. Good morning. Welcome back. Roostom, good morning. Roostom, it is your day, boss. OSRH, it is still a penny stock right now, but it's ramping on no news. Hope you're doing well on that. Brian, welcome back. It's good to see you again. Got to keep it classy, Got to keep it classy. Kevin, good morning. Welcome back. Good to see you again. Jim, welcome back. Brandy, welcome back. Big Dave, welcome back. Producers locked in. 3D, is Ryan back? Yes, 3D. You don't have to worry. Ryan is back. And back with a vengeance. Also back a winner. And a little bit more tan. So it was awesome. Thank you, Tom. Good morning. Day Trader, good morning. Florida Yacht Insurance Guy, good morning. Football Session and Ryan are back. 3D, you got to stop speaking these great... Actually, you don't have to stop. You need to continue speaking these great things into existence. We're so excited. Can barely even contain myself, but we're going to make some money today. Carson, good morning. Good to see you again. Tanya, good morning. Neville, good morning. Lambo Rolls, good morning. C-Dub, welcome back. Maverick, Hoot, and Glass Half Full, welcome back. Michael, Durkus, Cad Monkey, welcome back. Yassine, good to see you. I know, nice and cool. It feels like fall outside, and I am here for it. Sun-Kissed Yogi, the half moon pose. Awesome. Tanya says the crow. I might need to brush up. Since we got some yoga masters in here, I might have to become a yogi myself. We'll see. Maybe that'll increase my flexibility to help me on the golf course. Austin, good morning. The jazz singer, good morning. Edward, welcome back. Harley, welcome back. Barry the Goat, welcome back. And there we go. Okay, let's go ahead and dive right in. We got a lot to go. I am amped up on coffee. And let me tell you something else, folks. The second vacation here, driving back and not having to worry about an airplane and getting in late and sinking my entire day. What a relief that is. Abby, good morning. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the SPY. So as mentioned here, we had a huge pop on Friday. Now, what's interesting about this is that, first of all, my call here is that I thought we would trade up, especially going into September, where the market is traditionally weak. Everyone seems to be waiting for it. Seasonality says the same thing, et cetera, et cetera. But my call is that I did not think we were going to set a new high. Now, I don't think we have yet. The top of this candle here, 646.50. The top of the previous we did 646.09. So we did set a previous high. So that call is wrong. I still think in September, at some point in September leading into October, we're going to have a pullback. Now, is the market going to crash? Is everything going to go to hell? No, of course not. But a correction here, a move back down in some of these stocks wouldn't be the end of the world. In fact, it would probably be good for some of these stocks. I'm still kind of expecting that. So we did set some new highs on Friday. We'll see if we reset them here today. If you look at the intraday chart on the SPY, you'll see that we've really kind of come in from that euphoric move higher. And maybe we're leaking a little. We'll see. So right away here, the high from Friday, absolutely going to be a key level. But the other thing that we should watch, pretty much right where we're at, right? The low here from the pre-market to 643 and change. You want to round it down to 643. That's fine with me. That also represents the spot where we kind of bounced on Friday when we pulled back from the initial impulse move. So I'd be watching those here today. If we continue to sell off, if we sell off today and it starts to speed up, we definitely want to pay attention to the 20-day moving average. I'm not sure if we're going to have that kind of weakness here today. We'll see what ends up happening. Let's do a quick run through on the morning update. As you can see, all of the indexes here slightly under pressure. In fact, S&P futures here down 0.3, Dow futures here down 0.26%, and the NASDAQ down 0.4 here today. So backing off a little bit from Friday's session highs there. Bitcoin did trade up over the weekend, then started to come back in. I think Ether hit a new all-time high over the weekend, but that's come in a little bit as well. We do have the new home sales here today. That's going to be one of the things that we're kind of waiting for. As mentioned, durable goods data on Tuesday. We have more Fed heads going to be speaking on Tuesday. I believe it's Barkin on Tuesday. And then I think we have another speech from Barkin on Wednesday. He's going to be busy. We also have the CB consumer confidence on Tuesday. And on Thursday, we have the jobless claims. And on Friday, we have PCE data and the Michigan consumer sentiment. So we are going to have some economic events this week, but y'all already know this. You don't need me to tell you. The biggest event of the week likely to be those NVIDIA earnings. Part of me wants to see if the market is really going to use that data print as a reason to sell off, or that marker, that time to sell off. We'll see. No IPOs here today, so that should be pretty good. Do have a couple of new initiations here. Okta, one of those. This is a buy rating with a 125 price target, about $30 worth of upside there. That's actually pretty cool. Matador, this got a outperform from William Blair, no price target. And Sarepta got another sell, this time from Wainwright, $5 price target. Sarepta up here at $20. That stock has just been wild. Symbiotic, I know we've talked about this one quite a bit. This actually caught a downgrade and a $47 price target from Davidson. Earnings for today. We had Pinduoduo this morning. They're up about 0.25%. I don't think there's really anything else big here today. Oh, let's see if producer got this ready. Of course he did. The producer doesn't sleep. He just gets stuff ready. Here's your earnings calendar for today. We're still going to have some more. I just talked to you about that Okta upgrade. Well, Okta reports tomorrow after the close, so we'll see if that analyst knew something ahead of time. Also worth mentioning, Mongo Database, ticker MDB, that's also going to report tomorrow. That one might be interesting. But none of it will matter. It will all pale in comparison to Wednesday when we do, in fact, get NVIDIA, CrowdStrike. What else do we have in there? HP, what up? Pure Storage is in there. NetApp, Nutanix, so Five Below and Urban Outfitters there for the retail. So the Wednesday after the close, probably going to be the biggest after-hour session or pre-market session, biggest reporting day of the week here. Okay, let's go ahead and roll through some of the news. I'm so excited. I can't wait to get to charts. We're going to do that here in a sec, but we're going to start with a little bit of a rundown on what's going on. Let's see who I missed here. Tyler, White Chocolate Mocha, Asrar, Sassy Butterfly Chick. I did have an awesome long weekend and I won, and I took my friend's money, which is always awesome. Bernhard, welcome back. Ed, welcome back. Did Ryan just question my preparedness? No, Ryan was building up some drama. Come on now. The jazz singer. Welcome back. Okay, let's take a look here at some of the news. Let's go through a little bit of a rundown there. On Friday, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell gave Wall Street and Main Street a reason to celebrate. In a closely watched speech at the Fed's annual Jackson Hole conference, Powell sent a clear signal that the central bank is preparing to shift its stance on interest rates as early as next month. So I do think nothing's really changed here, but I feel more resolute in my call that we are going to get a 25 bips cut at that September meeting. President Trump launched a national security investigation into furniture imports into the United States aimed at restoring jobs and promoting domestic manufacturing in the sector. I will say this: when I first came across this line, I did want that, like that meme with the guy that's kind of confused, like furniture, national security. I'll say this though: if you've ever ordered a bookshelf that was from China and you've tried to assemble that and you've said every curse word in the book because the instructions are garbage and the quality of the material is garbage, can't say I'm all that pissed about this, to be quite honest with you. But that We'll get to that at a later time here. 10-year yielded 4.26 and the 2-year yielded 3.71. So we're still under some key thresholds there. Looks pretty good. Let's talk about some insights here. Ed Yardeni noted that since the weak July employment report, investors have been betting that the Fed put is back in play. He observes that Powell, after months of pushing back against rate cuts, adopted a new tone at Jackson Hole, stating that the, quote, shifting balance of risks may warrant adjusting our policy stance, end quote. So not telling you for sure, but if we read between the lines, pretty clear to hear what he's saying there. However, Yardeni injects a note of caution, maintaining it as his base case scenario with a 55% probability that hotter than expected August inflation and employment data could still lead the Fed to holding off easing in September. Despite this, he assigns a 25% chance that of a market melt up if the Fed cuts rates. This is the one thing I go back and forth on this. I think, yeah, Fed cuts rates. A lot of these small caps are going to be more attractive. We kind of got a preview of that on Friday as it is. But at the same time, it's like, haven't we been talking about this for a long time? Don't a lot of people think that this is already kind of baked in? If so, that kind of sets up a possible sell the news scenario when we actually get that cut. But we'll see how it shakes out. And in the meantime, we'll try and pad our account until we get there. Yardeni's year-end S&P 500 target remains 6,600, and he believes the bull market will become increasingly earnings-led. That shifts even more importance to the NVIDIA earnings print that we're going to be waiting for here this week. That points to a strong 8.8 net earnings surprise in the second quarter of 2025 as evidence. Now, according to investment analyst Louis Navellier, who has not missed a whole lot, the Fed's focus has decisively shifted to its unemployment mandate, which is now overshadowing any inflation fears. He highlights Powell's concern that downside risks to employment are rising. Navellier offers a particularly bullish interpretation of Powell's statement that the policy rate is, quote, 100 basis points closer to neutral, end quote, suggesting this implies not just one, but potentially 4 incoming rate cuts. Now, I certainly don't think we're going to get that this year. Maybe he means 4 over the next calendar year from here. We'll see how that shakes out. Phil Rosen of the Opening Bell Daily offers the most direct takeaway, quote, the Fed is ready to cut rates in September and asset prices are going higher, end quote. Okay, pretty cut and dry there. I don't think anyone is necessarily going to be, quote unquote, against that. We'll see how it shakes out here, but pretty good commentary there. He notes that the market's immediate and powerful reaction to the speech with the S&P 500, NASDAQ, and Dow, and even crypto assets like Bitcoin and Ether spiking higher. Quoting Chris Zaccarelli of Northlight Asset Management, Rosen paints a vivid picture, quote, the party isn't over yet, and Jay isn't ready to take away the spiked punch bowl. Yeah, I can appreciate that. The report also adds historical context from Ryan Dietrich of Carson Research, showing that the S&P 500 is higher 10 out of 11 times when the Fed takes between 5 and 12 months between cuts, as is the case in the current cycle. So telling you right there, a lot of stuff here from some of these analysts. They all think that this is bullish. They all think that this is going higher. Certainly looks like that. I'm just going to keep throwing this out there until it's passed. My only word of caution here, beware of a sell the news type event when we actually get that cut. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about Powell here, as that was the big news from last week, without a doubt. The U.S. labor market is showing its most significant signs of strain in nearly 4 years, with the number of Americans continuing to draw unemployment benefits climbing to its highest point since November of 2021. According to the Department of Labor, continuing unemployment claims reached 1.972 million during the week ended August 9th, up 30,000. Up 30,000 from the prior week. That marks the highest level since the 2.04 million recorded in November of 2021. The continued claims figure tracks Americans who have already filed an initial jobless claim where jobless benefits, remained unemployed for at least a week, and then filed again. The Department of Labor notes these figures provide a strong snapshot of the overall labor market conditions. The rising continued unemployment claims suggest that displaced workers are struggling longer to secure new jobs. On top of this, initial claims for unemployment benefits rose as well, increasing by 11,000 to 235,000 and exceeding economist expectations. The 4-week moving average also edged higher, a sign of mounting pressure on the jobs front. The Federal Reserve's policy is at a pivotal moment as rising unemployment claims signal stresses in the U.S. labor market. Fed Chair Jerome Powell acknowledged that the recent increases in both the initial and continued unemployment claims reflect a softening job market. Quote, the situation suggests downside risks to employment are rising, and if those risks materialize, they can do so quickly in the form of sharply higher layoffs and rising unemployment. End quote. And that's from Powell's speech on Friday. Powell even hinted that suggested the Fed could consider cutting interest rates as soon as September if the data continues to show labor market issues. Upcoming employment reports will be watched closely for signs of further deterioration of the labor market. The Department of Labor releases weekly unemployment claims data every Thursday at 8:30, and the next one is scheduled for this week, August 28th. Looking here, I see here S&P futures about unchanged, not really moving here. Looks like Kevin Hassett is on CNBC, and they're talking about that Intel stake. Okay. Dive deep. Hello. Welcome. Welcome. All right. Let's go to the next story. Next story here. This one, for all of you coffee fanatics like me out there, this probably caught your eye. Beverage giant Keurig Dr. Pepper is close to striking an $18 billion deal to acquire the Dutch coffee company JDE Peet's. Now, JDE Peet's, I know this because this is the parent company of Peet's Coffee, which I do enjoy. A Major Dickinson's blend is one of the best dark roast coffees I've ever had. This, to me, was the big coffee company that really kind of supplanted Starbucks. Once I started tasting what Peet's Coffee tasted like, I realized that Starbucks just really wasn't all it was cracked up to be. And actually, their beans were a little burnt, it feels like, or over roasted. But that's neither here nor there. This merger now, Keurig now going to own them. So it'll just be interesting to see what happens to the quality of coffee. I would imagine it's going to stay the same, hopefully, maybe get a little bit cheaper. I don't know. We'll see. But this is the big merger here in the market today. Following the merger, the combined companies could separate their beverage and coffee units, essentially undoing the 2018 merger that brought Keurig and Dr. Pepper together in the first place, according to a report by Wall Street. So it sounds like they're going to spin off those coffee companies. Dutch company JDE Peet, known for its coffee brands such as Loor, Tassimo, and Douwe Egberts, which I've never had before. I probably pronounced it incorrectly too. Currently has a market valuation of about $15 billion, while Keurig Dr. Pepper is valued at nearly $50 billion. This comes amid JDE Peet's strong momentum in coffee sales despite the high prevailing costs, with the company raising its annual forecast as a result. Now, I guess they're going to get cost synergies of up to like $400 million with this deal. So fingers crossed on that. We'll see. Keurig Dr. Pepper and JDE Peet's did not immediately respond to Benzinga's requests for a comment on this matter. They told us to drink another cup of coffee and ask again. In addition to 7-Up and Snapple, God, I feel like it's been 10 or 15 years since I've even seen a Snapple. That's a blast from the past right there. Keurig Dr. Pepper has been steadily expanding its portfolio beyond the traditional soft drinks. Last year, the company acquired energy drink maker Ghost Lifestyle in a $990 million deal for a 60% stake, and they plan to acquire the rest by 2028. This comes as the company braces for a challenging second half in 2025 as it expects prominent tariff impact, particularly on its U.S. coffee segment. Shares of Keurig Dr. Pepper were down on Friday. We'll see how they do today. They actually were down here this morning. Let's see where we were at here. Let's go back to Pro here real quick. Oh, I should have had this queued up. What a rookie move this was. Let's go back here real quick. KDP is the ticker for Keurig Dr. Pepper. It's down nearly 7%. $32. Looks like it's going to try and hold this 20-day moving average. I don't know. Does anyone trade Keurig Dr. Pepper? I know we were approaching this trend line here. We've kind of backed off a little bit. Here, but we'll see if we hold the 20. Shane says, still don't own a Keurig. Shane, neither do I. My 1 cup coffee drink or coffee maker is an espresso. And actually, I've seen a lot of advertisements for those lower espresso machines. It seems now that Nespresso is going to be an even bigger competitor of this company. Just my guess on that, though. Okay, next here. Talk a little bit more about those furniture imports here. Trump launches a national security probe into furniture imports. In a Truth Social post on Saturday, Trump said, quote, furniture coming from other countries into the United States will be tariffed at a rate yet to be determined, end quote, while referring to it as a major tariff investigation, which will be concluded over the next 50 days. Trump says the move is aiming at bringing the furniture business and jobs back to the United States, especially such as North Carolina, South Carolina, and Michigan. And again, if you've ever bought a bookshelf or any other piece of furniture or anything that has originated in China, you have undoubtedly been upset. I would much rather have all of those come from North Carolina, South Carolina, or Michigan, and I would happily pay a little bit more for those as well. Better quality, better instructions, just better everything. And just in case you can't tell that I've had a bad experience before. The investigation will be conducted under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act, a national security statute that allows the president to impose tariffs if imports are deemed a threat, according to Reuters. The industry, however, remains skeptical, with the American Home Furnishings Alliance having previously criticized the tariffs, saying that no amount of it will, quote, will bring back American furniture manufacturing, end quote. Well, adding that the move might instead harm manufacturing still being done in the United States. We shall see. Furniture and home furnishing stocks have witnessed steep declines in after hours following the announcement. We'll see how they trade today. If any of you want a list of these for maybe a buy the dip scenario, you might be able to trade that here today. There is your link in the chat. It's going to have all of those tickers in there for you. When the tariff fears surfaced during Liberation Day in early April, Restoration Hardware plunged 40% within a single trading day and has been mounting a steady recovery ever since. That's another longer way of saying that was a great buying opportunity, by the way. The company has since been leaning into tariff chaos by diversifying away from China, which now makes up just 2% of its imports. That's so strange because the last CEO said that there's no way this is going to come back. How could you do this? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool story, bro. It's now ramping up production in the U.S. and sees the situation as an opportunity as competitors fail to keep up with the high tariff costs. Life, folks, it's all about how you look at it. Just don't choose to be a victim. That's really the only technical advice that I can give you here today. All right, now let's talk about Palantir, but let's first go back to the chart, and we'll start with the Palantir chart real quick. Here it is. I don't even think I need to, I think we should look at the chart, but I don't think I even really need to talk a whole lot about why we're looking at Palantir here. Palantir 156 here this morning, and that's important because our 50-day moving average, which we have thus far held, is at 154. I remember talking about the day where we put in this candle, or the following day, that was Thursday, the day I left. I said, this is actually a pretty bullish candle, right? We peaked a lot beneath that 50-day moving average, recovered and closed above it, and since then we have kept it. Honestly, this really solidifies the importance of this 50-day moving average. We're down a little bit here, 1.5% in the pre-market. We'll see if buyers end up stepping back into Palantir here. But folks, if we lose this 154 level, I do think 133.5 is probably next. Let's see what. And actually, you know what? I could actually see that overshooting the 100-day and maybe printing this 130, 131 area there. This was the low from June of earlier this year on Palantir. So we'll see which direction this takes. If you folks have Palantir trades on, I would love to hear about how you're trading this and what you think about its outlook. Maybe not just for a short-term day trade, but its outlook for maybe the next year, year and a half here. In a landscape where high PE ratios often scare investors, a different metric defies skeptics that AI powerhouse Palantir, which has battered last week for its high valuations following the Citron research report, is not quite overpriced. Who's ready to agree that Palantir is not overpriced? Can I get any takers on that one? Palantir may hold a valuation edge over its enterprise software giant Salesforce, ticker CRM. While its 2025 price to earnings growth, or PEG ratio of 1.6, is numerically higher than Salesforce's 1.5, some analysts view it through the lens of sleeper valuation metric that could defy traditional PE skeptics by factoring in robust future growth. This is kind of where I'm going. Who believes this entire line of thought? Are you more of a traditionalist when it comes to fundamental values, or are you willing to listen to these future growth numbers, no matter how astronomical, frankly, they may be? The PEG ratio is a stock valuation metric that compares the company's PE ratio to its expected earnings growth rate, providing a more balanced view of a stock's fair value than the PE ratio alone. All right, and this is kind of where I'm getting at here. The analysis stems from a recent social media post by the chief market strategist of Futurum Equities, Shea Ballure, highlighting the PEG ratio as a sleeper valuation metric most ignore. Ballure explained that the PEG ratio under 1 suggests mispriced growth, while a ratio over 2 enters a danger zone, indicating that a stock may be overvalued relative to its expected earnings growth. Well, if Palantir's coming in here at 1.6, it sure looks like, based on this metric, there's more room to run. XIII doesn't buy this at all. It's overpriced, and I'm shorting it. There you go. Love it. I honestly, XIII, if I had to pick one or the other, I'm fortunate because I don't have an active Palantir position, so I can pretty much play the cards that are dealt me here. But if I was forced to pick one, like I just kind of asked of you, I too would agree with you. I would say that it's overpriced. But maybe I'm wrong about that. Shea here gives a list here with how big cap tech stacks up to Palantir. You'll see Palantir is actually right between Meta and Amazon, and lower than AMD, now Microsoft, and Oracle. So interesting stuff. We'll see. And I actually, do I see NVIDIA on here? Yeah, NVIDIA cheaper here at 0.9. Okay, 0.9. Yassine says Palantir 140 a solid bottom. Zoo says his target on that downside trade that he's got on 105 on that one. Just to kind of roll through some of the rest of this here. According to a chart from Futurum Equities, Palantir's 2025 PEG ratio is projected at 1.6, placing it above Salesforce at 1.5. While a lower PEG ratio is typically better, Palantir's valuation is notable when compared to big cap tech firms. For instance, Oracle sits in the danger zone at 2.7, and Microsoft is at 2.4. Some undervalued tech giants, I almost can't even believe I said that with the stocks I'm about to talk about, but here we are. Conversely, several tech leaders appeared undervalued by this metric, with NVIDIA at 9/10, Alphabet at 9/10, and TSM remarkably low at 6/10. Now, I'm going to take a step back here. Shout out to 13, because even before we were talking about PEG ratios and then comparing them to the rest of the Mag 7 or really any other big cap tech, 13 was out here telling this group and the Happy Hour group and me that, I'm surprised TSM is as cheap as it is, with it being a major supplier to all of these other companies who frankly couldn't do business without TSM. I'm very shocked that TSM is not being awarded the same multiple or the same premium that some of these other tech companies are. Seems like 13 was a little bit ahead of the curve here. He didn't write an article on it, but that's okay. He was still spot on that. Let's be sure to give him his flowers when he signs on here today. For Palantir, Its 1.6 ratio suggests that although the stock isn't cheap, its high valuation is substantially supported by strong growth expectations, offering a compelling counterargument to those focused solely on its elevated PE. So let me ask you, for those of you that think Palantir has an elevated PE, does this scan at all? Does this scan at all? You'll have to let me know. According to Benzinga Pro, Palantir's traditional forward PE stood at 250x as of the publication of this article. The stock fell 9.5% in the last 5 sessions. And I know some folks are thinking that's a buying opportunity, but the initiation of Andrew Left's Citron Research short position and valuation, and its valuation in comparison with OpenAI and Databricks. Remember, the $40 was the price target there from Citron. Good morning, Keith. It's great to see you again. Daniel and Mark, great to see you again. Mark says, I'm long TSM. Way to go, Mark. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. And actually, let me see here real quick. Boop, 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 boop. Sorry, I'm just going through some things here. Lost my place there. Okay, good deal. All right, that's the end of that story. All right, now we're going to have a little bit of kind of a tongue-in-cheek story here, but we're going to have some fun with it. And I actually do want some opinions on this. Elon Musk's XAI to simulate software giants like Microsoft, and of course, he's naming it macro hard, as if there was any doubt about that. Elon Musk has announced plans to simulate software companies such as Microsoft using artificial intelligence. Musk's firm XAI is said to be creating an AI-only software company named Macro Hard. Musk characterized the project as, quote, very real, end quote, implying that software companies like Microsoft, which do not produce physical hardware, could theoretically be entirely simulated using AI. If you want to follow Elon, the tweet threads, you can actually start with the original one here, and I'm sure you'll be able to branch off from those. It's in the article that I just linked in chat. While Musk did not divulge more details, a document from the United States Patent and Trademark Office shows that a trademark for Macro Hard was filed by XAI on August 1st. The application outlines a broad range of AI-centric goods and services for Macro Hard, including downloadable computer software for the artificial generation of human speech and text, and for designing, coding, running, and playing video games through AI. The establishment of Macro Hard is the latest addition to Musk's diverse portfolio of enterprises, which includes Tesla, XAI, X, The Boring Company, SpaceX, and Neuralink. This development is in line with Musk's thrust into AI and robotics. He had previously advocated for Tesla's investment in XAI and has underscored projects like robotaxis and humanoid robots. This move could potentially revolutionize the software industry as it challenges the traditional model of software development by simulating software companies with AI. Musk's XAI could potentially create more efficient, autonomous, and innovative software solutions. Okay. So first of all, who's buying this? Who's buying that a company with the just massive importance like Microsoft can actually be simulated with AI? And then unrelated to that, who thinks that the Macro Hard name is going to persist? It's just, I know he says it's very real. I know he says that they filed the trademark at the patent office and that's all been confirmed. But when I read something like this, I think to myself, Elon's a joker. Nestor here says Elon is such a clown. I reserved the clown designation for bad sports takes, stupid athletes, and most politicians. I'm going to say he's a joker. He definitely jokes around, and he's without a doubt a genius. But man, sometimes I can't tell. That being said, all of the jokes aside, I don't think AI is going to replace an entire company like Microsoft. I don't think it's going to be simulated and replaced it. I know there's talk about AI removing low-level jobs and all of that, but let's pump the brakes on it taking out an entire or simulating an entire company there. I just don't know about any of that. Okay, that's about all of the news I got for you here today, all of the big news. The next thing that we can do is I do want to save the movers for 13, just because I want to be able to have him give his input and his levels on any of those stocks that he researched. But I am definitely interested in taking a look at any of the stocks, or particularly the bigger stocks that you want to take a look at. I think what we should do is probably start with Intel here. Just because I know Intel's been in the news a lot lately, as well as recently. The last time that we talked about Intel, and I guess I should rephrase that. The last time I spoke with you all about Intel, I was commenting on how great this $19 support has held really since what? August of 2024. So for an entire year plus now, as we're at the end of August. How are we already at the end of August? Anyway, for an entire year plus now, Intel really has used this $19 level as a significant support. And in fact, any time that you bought Intel, if you bought it anywhere around 19, you ended up getting a profitable trade out of that if you were patient and if you didn't get stopped out of it a little too early. So that's one thing to say. Next thing here, if we take a look at the most recent area of the chart, well, what do you know? We traded down to 19, tested it and held. Then we started to move back up. We have a lot of these moving averages that are really kind of pushed together right here on the chart because Intel has spent so long down here and trading sideways. We broke above that, didn't even back test the entire thing, and now it does look like we're trying to push higher. I'm going to make a call here. We're at 25, 23. I think you see 30 prints out of Intel before you see 20 prints out of Intel. Now, I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen here. I know there's a lot of just oddball loose ends here with Trump saying that the CEO needs to resign and then Trump saying he's very highly respected and then they take a stake in the guy. I know there's a lot of moving pieces here, but I'm going to say when we're sitting right here at $25 that we see 30 prints before we see 20 prints. A 30 print on this would mean that we at least tested, or I should say, we at least peaked above the 500-day moving average. And if you zoom out a little bit more, that would also mean that we close the gap up here to about 30. And I really think the chart would look pretty constructive if we were able to do that. Let me know what you folks think on Intel. Was anyone trading Intel? Or another, maybe you have been trading Intel. Was anyone holding Intel going into this with it being up 1.85% here today? Here we go. I had mentioned that Kevin Hassett was on CNBC. I couldn't hear it because I was sitting here with you folks. For those of you that did not have CNBC on for whatever reason, White House economic advisor Hassett speaks on the U.S. government's Intel stake, other sectors, and says that this was a special circumstance, but could be more transactions. In this and other industries. The government won't be interfering with Intel. Taxpayers will benefit by the government's stake in Intel. So I would put this out to you folks. Do you like this? Do you dislike this? And the angle that I would like you to come from to try and remove a lot of the TDS and the political bias that you may have, think about this in terms of, will this be good for the stock price? Will the government stake and the government working with Intel, but, quote, not interfering, will this actually help the stock price or will this hurt the stock price? I just gave you my call. I think we see 30 before we see 20. I want to hear your call on this. What do you think here on Intel? And if you have any trades on this, I want to hear how you folks are doing that. Okay, let's see here. I have LC of Intel. You have long calls. I'm guessing you have a lot of calls in Intel. Zach saying, is CNBC to be preferred over Bloomberg? No, it just happens to be in the news feed. I happen to see it on TV, so I went that direction. Did I miss something there? Was there something in that news feed from Bloomberg that was more important? I don't think so. Zach, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not understanding your question. Let me know again if I missed that there. But no, that was not a comment on which one to trust, more or less. Here, Carl, thank you for answering the direct question. It should be good for the stock price short term. I kind of think the same thing. Nestor saying the government will force the Mag 7 to invest in Intel. So they actually, Leslie Picker floated that this morning here on CNBC as well. I would think, like Carl, Carl's exactly right, frankly. If the government did that, absolutely, that would be a positive for Intel in the near term. In the long term, though, if they're not building better chips, is that actually a long-term positive? Shouldn't matter if we're going to do a short-term trade on that. Really good stuff there. Nestor and Carl, appreciate that. Barry says, I think the government takes a stake in Kodak next. This will help Kodak tremendously. We've joked a lot about Kodak because Trump has mentioned that in the past, so maybe. But I think Barry, you're hitting on kind of a larger point here, maybe unintentionally. These companies that start to get talked about by the administration, they're at a minimum worth us watching and kind of breaking down because there very well might be a trade here. Look how Intel is responding to this already. And like I was saying, the chart is starting to look more constructive. We might actually have a trade here. Leap calls. Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. Long calls, leap calls. Gotcha. Average option says, I think Paul Meeks said to stay away from Intel. I didn't catch his last show. You might be right about that, but the good news, I believe we have Paul Meeks and Tech Tune Up on Tuesday, so we can probably get an updated position on that. Paul's amazing, and if we ask him and we ask him nicely, I'm sure he'll tell us what he thinks about that. So, really good stuff. No, I just don't watch CNBC. Fair enough. Fair enough, Zach. That's fine. I just happened to quote it. I'll be honest, I know some of the people because of some of the conferences Benzinga has done. I've actually met some of these human beings from CNBC in real life. And be honest with you, a lot of the folks that I've met have just been tremendous individuals. They've not been arrogant. They've not been jerks. They've been really courteous with their time to random people and nobodies that aren't on TV. And maybe that's my own bias, but I throw it on in the background. It gives me basically another scrolling ticker. If I miss something, I catch it. But no comment there, Bloomberg versus CNBC. Okay, let's see. What else do I have here? Mama Bear says, I have lots of Kodak. So Mama Bear wants to see the government step in on Kodak there. That'd be awesome. GB Slice taking a different approach here. If the government is involved, stay away from it. Now, you bring up a really good point here. I don't know how this is going to all shake out currently, but generally speaking, state-owned or state-run things don't work well. So GB Slice, I totally understand where you're coming from on this, and I totally respect that position. I have no position on Intel. I certainly would not be opposed to trading it because of this, but I certainly wouldn't be opposed to because of this, but I don't have anything now, so it's not really affecting me right now. Kodak is still around. Hey, look, the last time Kodak went crazy during COVID, we had the same conversation. We weren't on the air on the show at that time, but we had the same conversation. Every trader I talked to, Kodak, like the same Kodak, like pictures and all of that. Yep, they're still around. They've morphed their business. They might even have Bitcoin on their balance sheet by now. Who knows? Okay. Let's keep rolling through with some of the other stocks here. That was actually a really kind of a good, fun discussion there on Intel. Brian says, I shorted Intel on the way down, long on the way back up. It's been very good to me. Well, Brian, you better keep us posted here. Nestor, I missed this earlier, Nestor. I'm sorry about that. Intel is going to 100 plus. It's worth $50 to $60 without the foundry. Now the foundry is taken care of because of the government. Nestor, that is a call and a half right there. Let me know. Okay, MDB, Avago, or AVG. So here, let me write these down. MDB, Broadcom, and UNH were tickers that were suggested there. Kyle mentioned CRM. We kind of already referenced that in another story. So we'll take a look at that. And in fact, we're going to start with CRM just because that ties into a story we already covered. And Yassine wants to take a look at MicroStrategy, which we can absolutely do. Okay, I'm going to start here with CRM. Remember, we were talking about Palantir and its PEG ratio being 1/10 higher, but actually being in a better position here on CRM. So I would start with the same question here. Who here thinks CRM is overvalued Or do you think it's undervalued? CRM in the pre-market here down by 0.25%, and it looks like, so it's actually back above its 20-day. Really, the first thing that I'm looking at here with this chart, this was Kyle, right? Let me just make sure I get your name correct. Kyle James, can we look at CRM? Here's my big takeaway, Kyle. First of all, whatever trade you're doing, I don't know what you already own. If you're looking to trade this, et cetera, you'll have to fill me in on that. But just right off the bat, please understand this company is going to report earnings a week from Wednesday. It's going to be that September 3rd, the day before the football season. So whatever your trade plan is, no matter what direction it is, just make sure you have a plan for that earnings event. Some people don't hold, some people do hold. You'll have to let me know. But otherwise, in the near term here are the two key levels. It very clearly put in a double bottom here, 229, 230. We're going to call that an area. This double bottom held, it needed to hold. Now that we're starting to make our way back up, the most immediate key level for me is going to be this 246.38. You want to round that up to 246.5? I totally get it. We need to recapture and close above this 20-day moving average. We really do. We're peaking above it right now. We're still above it, even with the quarter percent pullback here. But we need to close above this. If we close above this, that then sets up the 50, the 100, and the 500 as your next levels higher. And then right above that 500, you've got this pretty nifty area that was a previous resistance area as well as a consolidation area back in March this year. Okay, so if I had to assign a number to that, I would put that here at 276 to 277. All right, so there's a ton of key levels here on CRM. And as long as this bottom holds and as long as the short-term trend continues to the upside, this should actually be a fairly easy trade to manage because you're going to know exactly where some of these resistance levels are. And you should know exactly, if you have a plan ahead of time, you should know exactly what you're going to do when the stock reaches those prices there. Also, let me know if you're trading this. Let me know if you're trading this via stock or options, because I would say if it's options, I would be a little bit quicker on the trigger finger to take the gains should you end up getting those gains. Carl says, CRM has a head and shoulders formation on the daily time frame, and I'm waiting for it to get out of the way as well as I'm waiting for earnings to get out of the way. I may enter around 260. Okay, so your head and shoulders here, are you talking about kind of a longer term head and shoulders? Like, are you thinking that this is the left shoulder, here's the head, and here's the right shoulder? Let me know, Carl. Let me know. Estimate that for me. I would imagine that would probably look, Okay, so if this trades back up, I would say to like near 300, Carl, I would say you have your head and shoulders. Right now, I would not agree here. I would not say that this is the right shoulder. It is a little bit janky. I do see what you're seeing. But personally, I would actually rather have this trade up first. Now, the other thing is that you'll realize if we do get a move up here that made this right shoulder, let's call it a little bit more even or a little bit more straight. If we were able to do that, both of these things could work, right? You could get a head and shoulders set up and you could get a really nice bounce. I had talked to you about the bottom here being a specific price level from the daily chart, but looking at the weekly chart, this is your 200-week moving average. It basically peaked beneath that moving average each time it came into that double bottom. And in each case, it popped back above it. So this is a good shout out. And you know what else, Carl? You know what else I'm going to do here? Just because we talked about this, I'm going to preemptively draw I've done this on other stocks. I'm going to preemptively draw the right shoulder, and I'm going to watch and see how this price kind of fills out this area. Maybe it stalls here around 288, 290. And in that case, even in that case, I would say that's a better looking head and shoulders because we've really kind of come up off this level. I don't think we have enough of that yet, but that's just me. Nonetheless, this is a good mention here. I'm going to leave this on my chart. Let me actually save this just to make sure no shenanigans get rid of it here. Let's overwrite that. I'm going to leave this on here, and I'm going to see if this fills out because some of these head and shoulders and inverse head and shoulders that we've ended up identifying and trading, they've actually worked pretty good for trade setups. So shout out to you. Good stuff there on CRM. Okay, let me keep, what time is it? 8:48 Eastern, 7:48 Central. Okay, I'm just going to keep rolling through some of these. Appreciate the group for giving me some stocks to take a look at. We will shift to the movers for trading purposes here today. the second that 13 gets here. We'll give them a second to take a breath, but then we'll do it. Speaking of head and shoulders and inverse head and shoulders, here's a great example, Carl. Here's a great example of where we found an inverse head and shoulders on MDB, and that resolved. Now, albeit it resolved a little bit slowly, but it did resolve. We actually peaked above the 200-day before losing it, and now we've recaptured the 50-day. We've got earnings tomorrow. Let's see where this goes. First question here, is anyone playing MongoDB for earnings? Second question is, does anyone have a trade plan on this, either for an existing trade or a future trade? I don't want to believe the head and shoulders. That would probably mean the market goes really bearish. This is a big stock. Yeah. Look, here's my thought on that. I am definitely an optimist. I'm definitely more of a bull than I am a bear in pretty much every case. So I too, just like you, I don't want to see that. I'd like to see more green arrows here and happiness in the market. But one of the things that I've learned is that the market gives exactly zero damns about what I think and what I care about. And as a result, my job then is to prepare for either scenario. So when CRM trades up, if and when CRM trades up into that right shoulder, we can make an assessment here as a group, and we can have a plan for either direction. Maybe it breaks out from there. Maybe it sells off from there, but we'll come up with a plan for either. So MongoDB here, we've recaptured the 50. We are just shy of the 200. The last two times we got above the 200, it was very, very short-lived. One, we did get several closes above it, but we very quickly gave it up. The second time we tested it and just didn't have the strength to break it, to break above. So just keep in mind, this chart, it does look pretty constructive. I kind of see a trend line here, and with 13 lurking, we better make sure that we stay crispy on our trend lines here. I would draw it like this personally, and I would say that this trend line here, we would really love to see this snap to kind of have a change in direction. Okay. And then Perry here, I have a bull spread on MDB and it earnings. So you're playing a bull spread for the binary event tomorrow. Keep us posted on how that goes. I hope that you bank off that. Okay. It's been too long since I've seen my buddy 13, so we are going to break that streak right now. 13, good morning, boss. How you doing today?
Hey, good morning, Ryan. How was your vacation?
Dude, I'm so glad you asked. Not only was it awesome, first of all, I was back in Detroit for the first time in a while. Nice. I drove my car for the first time in my life down Woodward, an 8 Mile. Remember, Woodward, often known as the very first road.
Blasting lose yourself.
What's that?
Blasting lose yourself in your car.
I did not blast lose yourself. I should have. When I was coming into Detroit, I was like, oh my God, I'm about to go on 8 Mile. Like this is wild. I didn't have Eminem queued up. I didn't do that. I will say though, I got into a little bit of shenanigans with a newer Mercedes AMG, and he got gapped on Woodward for other people to see. It was absolutely awesome. But 13, the most important part, your boy won the 54-hole tournament with my teammate, who I needed in order to win. Won it on the 53rd hole, which happened to be an island green. Ryan stuck a clutch putt that he needed to make to win the tournament and win some money. So it was a great vacation, but I'm glad to be back. We've got a huge week here with NVIDIA earnings coming up.
Folks, I think we need to give Ryan a like for winning.
Oh my God, 13. Kevin would be, if he was here right now, he would be so effing proud of you. It's unbelievable. Folks, smash up the like for 13, the tie-in, and for winning a golf tournament. Smash that like up. I love seeing all of you here. Welcome back. Please, let's exploit that algorithm and get those likes up.
All right, I hope everybody's having a great morning this morning. Why don't we get into some movers and find out what's moving?
I have received only positive comments here in the chat. Everyone has been nice. Everyone seems rested. Everyone is saying positive stuff here. I couldn't be more happy with what I've seen here. So it does seem like everyone is having a great morning. 13, do you want to hit the movers?
Yes.
Okay, I love the dramatic delay. I tell you what, we got everything rolling here this morning. I got a good feeling. 13, we're going to do Rustam a solid here, and we are going to start with his baby. I don't know if you've gone over this because I didn't see any news on this thing earlier, and that's fine. It's just I've kind of poked Rustam before when he said, hey, take a look at the stock that's not doing anything. Well, guess what? The stock that he wants to take a look at, it is raging here today. And we have at least 100% runner. Ticker OSRH, OSR Holdings here, up by 100% exactly right now. If we take a look at the overview chart here, just as a reminder, OSR Holdings is a healthcare company dedicated to healthcare outcomes and improving the quality of life for people and their families. So just generally speaking, okay, good stuff there. I see no news on this. In fact, the last piece of news that I see here was an SEC filing from Wednesday, August 20th. So it appears to me that this might be some type of room newsletter mention here that's causing the stock to go wild. A quick look around the horn on this one. On average, it trades just shy of 1 million shares. Today, we're just shy of 100 million shares. So clearly something is of the up here. Float 3.064 million shares. So it is a low float. It's in dollar territory now. It should actually move around here today if this continues. Quick look at the short interest. 3.82% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. And as mentioned, that comes on the average volume about 1 million shares. 13, what do you think of Rustam's baby here, OSRH?
Well, it's like you said, it's got no news. But, float looks all right. 3 million shares is kind of what we're looking for here in order to trade. Financials don't look bad either. It's got some cash in the bank. It last reported some profitability. So they may need to raise. They may not. I haven't seen anything that suggests they will. So what's going on with this? Why is it moving? Well, the only thing I can come up with is that we had a situation where the price had been hammered down so much that we had an RSI that was sub 30 for pretty long time. And then on Friday, while we were still in the regular session, well, actually, this started happening on Thursday. There was some kind of bottoming happening here. It looks like we had a little reversal candle on Thursday. And then Friday, we got even more volume. So suddenly we're in a situation now where relative volume is coming into play. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think we ended up getting here. Because as soon as we closed the market on Friday, there was a massive takeoff on this, on the price of the stock. This thing just started ripping up, and it hasn't looked back since. We kind of went sideways into the pre-market trading today, this morning, only to go slightly higher. And that high we got that impulse high that took us to just shy of $1. We've since broken above that. We've been trying to hold above $1 most of the morning here, and it looks like we might be trying to push above 110, where there's a significant amount of orders to be sold. There's a big seller in the way right there. Mm-hmm. But if we do get past that, the levels I'd be looking for are going to be 115, 130, and 145. Interestingly, they're all 15-cent increments, but that's just kind of where the price action on the way back up is. I'm seeing resistance. So going with those, we might have some other levels that we could look at later on if it manages to get up above those. But on no news, just kind of go with the technicals, see what we get from there. It looks like we are still trying to push up to that through that 110. Looks like we might end up getting it. I think we'll just, here we go. We're trying to hit it right now.
All he had to do was speak it into existence, baby. There you go. Nice move right up to me.
Anyway, so you got your levels. It's trying to push through right now. It may get this, but there it is. It was 110 right now. Let's just see where it goes in the pre-market here. We still have a half hour before we open. This could go on a run and then come back in. So if you're trading this in the pre-market, have at it. But for me, I'm not going to trade this until the regular session. If I do trade this at all, we'll see what it ends up doing as after the open. But for now, this thing's ready to pop, it looks like.
Okay, good stuff there. Real quick here, Nestor, this is kind of an amazing stream, super amazing. Do you have any experience as a host professionally? Yes, I often host football get-togethers on Sunday, and I have been told I'm a pro at that, so maybe that's the case, because you seem like you're an expert at being a host. All jokes aside here, one of the reasons that I'm able to do what I do every day is because I actually feed off the people that show up here. It's one of the reasons why we ask for likes. It's one of the reasons why we brought 13 on here, because he makes me better at what I do. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, you folks here, you're always bringing either a different viewpoint, a good piece of information, or you're giving me something to think about. That's why I get to where I'm at here, Nestor. So I really appreciate that. But it's very, very important for all of you to realize that this stream just simply would not be what it is without the participation that we get on a daily basis from you folks who are absolutely not obligated to come. You choose to do it. And that's why we have the quality that we have here. So appreciate the kind words, but right back at you, Slick. All right. Next here, we're going to do CAPS. This is Capstone Holding, ticker CAPS. I'm going to go back to that 5-minute chart here. It actually looks like we've got a nice little flag going on here. What's going on with this? Capstone advances disciplined M&A strategy, adding $11 million in revenue and immediate EBITDA acceleration through Carolina Stone Products acquisition. Okay, I'm not familiar with either of these companies, so forgive me as I'm kind of learning with the rest of you right now. But $11 million revenue and immediate EBITDA accretion, those are two things that financial and trader folk want to see in a piece of news. That sounds pretty good. Looking at the short interest here, 2.48% of the float shorted. That comes on, I think, 1 day to cover. Yep, 1 day to cover. Average volume on this, it's a ghost town, folks. 86,000 shares. This barely even trades 100,000 shares on average. And today, 42.5 million. Now, as far as trading goes here today, this one should give us some action. Float is 1.98 million, so it will move as long as traders stay around here. If the volume dries up, though, be very, very careful. If this thing returns to its average volume trading and you're still in a position, even if it's not that big, you might have trouble getting out at the prices you see on your screen. So anytime we talk about some of these risky movers, please pay attention to the volume numbers. You want to be buying and selling when the volume is high. When that starts to dry up, you're going to be in trouble unless it's repriced marketably higher. 13, what do you think here on CAPS?
So, yeah, this one, they actually just announced last Monday that they had entered into an agreement to acquire this Carolina Stone Products company. And then here we are a week later, them closing that acquisition. So that was quick. The company might need cash, but with that acquisition, that adds, as you just pointed out, that adds 11 million in revenue. So they might not. The thing that concerns me is that they had a 10Q filing delayed, and I haven't really dove in to see if they've resolved that yet. This is they're delaying the 10Q filing. That was 2 Fridays ago. So haven't really seen anything new from that. That could be something that maybe negatively affects the price action if there's anything that's announced today, or if they announce that they received a non-compliance letter from NASDAQ. But for now, let's just look at what the chart's going to tell us, and just keep that in mind that they that might not even happen today that they get the NASDAQ notice. But they do have 1.98 million shares in the float. Very easy to move around for us. And as far as the technicals go, it looks like, as you were pointing out, we do seem to be putting in some kind of flag or pennant here. For support levels I'm looking at here, if we do lose this 180 level, which has been giving us some support ever since the impulse move, save one candle that took us down to 165, but back up above VWAP really quick. 180 is going to be the support, 165 beneath that, and then the 65 EMA. But there's a trend line that we're trying to break over here, and at the same time, $2 has been the price that has been the level that we've been trying to get above and stay above, and that hasn't happened yet. We did push as high as 214, only to come back in and test that 180 again. So I'm thinking that we need to see that volume expansion. We need to see this break of the trend line, and $2 is going to be that level that we're going to have to take out, in my opinion. If we do that, of course, 214, 215, that's going to be one level to get past. But 240, 280, and 3 are the ones to the upside that I'd be looking towards if we get this breakout.
All right, good stuff here on CAPS. Brian here adding to this, the news feels fluffy. 13, your trend line. We actually have the makings of a triangle here. At the bottom of that is about 180. So we'll see what we do if we break out of here. Really good stuff on the breakdown there on CAPS. Next here is going to be HCWB. This is HCW Biologics. This stock was about 350 last week, and we are 560 here this morning. In fact, we were a little bit higher than that. Yeah, 580 this morning. HCW Biologics shares are trading higher after the company announced that scientists have developed some drug with, I'm not going to pronounce, based immunotherapeutics against solid tumors. So look that drug up if you need help with all of that. Stock is ripping here, up 55%. A quick check-in on the short interest. 4.78% of the float shorted, and 1 day to cover. That comes on an average volume here of 132,000 shares. The float's 1.6 million. So just like we talked about on caps, be very, very careful. You definitely don't want to get trapped in this thing when it's a low volume ghost town. That's no bueno, and you're going to be in trouble. Be sure if you trade this thing that you have it all wrapped up before it returns to that. Really quickly here, before I turn it over to 13, Jay says, good morning. Jay, good morning to you. It's good to see you again. I am back, and you'll be happy to know that the Green Bay Packers logo ball that you gave me got absolutely pitching wedged into a humongous water hazard. I was with 3 other people, all of them, none of them are fans of the Bears, but all 3 of them hate the Packers, and they absolutely loved reading your note, and they loved seeing that ball get hit into the water. Will it will remain until the glaciers chew up the country again? So appreciate you. You're awesome. And by the way, you'd be proud. I won the 54-hole tournament. Okay, 13, back to you here. HCWB, what do you got for us?
So yeah, that news that they had, that seems great and everything, but how many times have we heard something about them just, about a company just suddenly coming out with something and it's going to be this and that, and we never hear from them again. I'm not saying that that's what this is going to be, but when you look at their balance sheet, you're like, okay, well, this company's going to have to do something about their cash position. The other thing that's, if you're going to hold this for any length of time, I don't think it's a good idea, but if you are, keep in mind that this company just received a NASDAQ compliance notice, and they regained NASDAQ compliance back in June. But they're still on the panel rule until June next year. So if they don't, have it, if they fall out of compliance again, that could be very, very bad for the company. And it looks like they might be getting that, in that direction if they don't do something about their capital pretty soon. They lost $12 million last quarter. Really bad earnings report. They have basically no revenue. And their cash balance is to the effect of about $2.5 million. So they're going to have to raise capital at some point soon. I would be very, very careful with this. That capital raise could come as early as today. There's no guarantee, but with the need to maintain that compliance, they're going to have to raise that at some point soon. Be very careful with this one. As Ryan said earlier, get what you are intending to get out of this and get out, because I don't know how long this party lasts in HCWB.
Yeah, both for the volume and for the potential capital raise coming here. So, okay, a really good breakdown yet again. Next one
perfect.
here is...
Thank you, Dave.
What happened? HCW Biologics says substantial doubt exists regarding its ability to continue as a growing concern for at least 12 months. Okay, Big Dave, just getting it done out here. There you go, 13. Asking you shall receive.
Thank you.
Yep, there you go. All right, next one here on the list is going to be ticker STSS. This is Sharps Technology. This thing had an impulse move up to about $18 before coming back in. We're actually below the VWAP here. Here's the news though. Sharps Technology priced private placement of 400 million share offering. Oh my God. I'm going to start over because I just completely butchered that. Sharps Technology priced private placement of $400 million offering to support its plans to adopt a digital treasury asset strategy under which the principal holding will be SOL. Where's Day Trader? I need some fist pumps. This is, I think we did. Yeah, SOL Treasury. I need fist pumps, Day Trader. I need it. The native digital asset of the Solana blockchain. So, okay, PR here, very simple, $400 million private placement. They're going to start a SOL Treasury here, no dilution to the shares. If we take a look at the short interest, 2.71% of the float is shorted with 1 day to cover. This on average trades just under 900,000 shares. Today we've traded 8.5 million. Float here is an even 1 million, 1.02. It's about even. So definitely low float. We've already seen some pretty dramatic moves, and we have a pretty dramatic range here in the pre-market, and we are about at that 50% mark of that range. So I really think like this could go either way. 13 really quickly here. The two immediate key levels that I'm going to be watching for like my own sake here, 1050, maybe even 1055. And then 11, let's call it 1170. I understand that this candle went down to 10, but I'd be looking to run for the exit a little bit sooner than that if it does break out of this sideways formation. What I would like to see out of a potential trade here would be a break upward past this 170, 180 spot, 175 spot, then recapture the VWAP, and then we can start talking about the pre-market highs, and we can ask 13 to kindly provide some crazy levels that he's so well known for. So this is the plan here on STSS. It's really going to come down to the volume. 13, how do you see it with this stock?
So this is another one of these crypto treasury plays, and we've already seen how those can end up. They do really well for a period of time, sometimes days, sometimes in certain cases like SBET or BMNR, it can be more than a week, but they end up coming back, and they come back pretty hard. So let's see what kind of trade we can get out of this, but let's not stick around too long, because I don't know how many of these crypto treasury plays are going to end up being like another SBET or another BMNR. But one thing I want you to do is take a look at the daily chart, if you could. Ever since March of this year, we've been kind of hanging out down here in this range between like $3.50 to $15. Let's look at that. Like that's off after a massive drop down.
Now, there splits or something with this, or was that? I mean, that's a huge move down. Yeah. Okay. So we did have a 1 for 300 reverse back in April.
Yep. So that's likely the reason that happened. But
yeah.
We're at an area where we if we do get above like I think it's what is this, like there's a high of like 1560. So that's going to be one area to keep an eye on, because beyond that, and beyond the 65 daily EMA, which I have at 1724, so we call it 1725, there could be a pretty substantial move up into the 30s, maybe even the 40s, because there's not very much price action between 15, 60, and 41. So I'm thinking there could be a pretty massive push up if we can get to that level. There's no guarantee that that's going to happen, but with this float and with this kind of momentum, if it manages to push that, we could see this thing run. So just going to point that out there. The levels that I have for this to the upside are going to be kind of right where we're at right now, which is a bit of a decision-making point. 11:15. We're a little bit above that right now, so there's a little bit of a gap as well that we've kind of tried to fill, but no real bodies in there. From about $11.15 to $12, that's the area that we're kind of trapped in right now. But if we can get over $12, we might see some better trading up until about that 1560 area. But once we get past that 1560 area, then kind of all bets are off. And if this thing runs, then just hang on.
Okay. I would love for this thing to give us one. I'll be honest, of the 4 that we've looked at so far, this is the one I'm the most interested in, but a lot of stuff has to really kind of come together for a good trade there. We'll see how it trades. Yeah.
And you can also draw a trend line on that chart right there.
I think you're right. Right here, through here.
That lines up pretty well.
Look at that. Look at that.
Let's break over that and recapture VWAP and see what it gives us.
Love it. That actually might prime the pad for launching here. Smoke Tuna saying that STSS that was called by Bex last Friday when the price was $6. Okay, that's good to hear. Let's see if we get some continuation here today.
Yeah, you got more than a 2x when the pre-market opened.
Yep. Well, I'm not sure. I mean, this was super early in the morning. There were probably a bunch of people getting their beauty sleep, but nonetheless, pretty good move there. And like I said, pretty good range. And now it's on watch lists and scanners for a lot of people. So could very easily get rolling here. Next is going to be OPAD. That's OPAD as your ticker. The name of the company is OfferPad Solutions. This did start to trade up on Friday. I don't know about you folks. I was only around for the morning. By the way, I was lurking in the chat on Friday. I had a number of things that I had to do in the morning. Plus, I was trying to watch the opening print there. But I did see some of the nice words out there. You folks are all awesome, as I was saying earlier. Oh, but I did not pay attention to OPAD the rest of the day. So you folks will have to let me know if this was actually a trade on Friday. The one thing that looks like it happened here is that it really kind of put in this like intraday triple top, I want to say, at 163, 165. We broke over that in the after hours. We punched higher here on a pretty good volume spike this morning. They had some news that reported on Thursday here. It files to sell 1.43 million shares of Class A common stock for holders, moving higher now on that. Quick look at the short interest on OPAD here, 9.43% of its float shorted. It's worth noting that this has actually come in a little bit since May. So maybe shorts covered up there. Days to cover here still 1. So as the volume started to increase, that's when those shares started to cover up. If we scroll back over that days to cover, when the short interest was much higher, look at these days to cover numbers. Average volume was pitiful. As soon as the volume started to come up, 2 things happened. Number 1, days to cover went down, and number 2, percent of float shorted went down. We would expect that, especially when the stock was crushed. Average volume here, 1.189 million shares. Today, we've traded just shy of 9 million shares. The float here is 14.5. 13, what do you think we see here on OPAD?
I was just looking at the news because I noticed that we had a pretty big move earlier. I think it was this month. Maybe it was last month. Let me just look at the chart one more time. Yeah, last month. There was a pretty big move that saw 25 million shares traded in a single day. And it looked like that was off of news of a private placement hold on a second, let me look at it again. It was a private placement, direct offering, $6 million, shares and warrants. This is following their earnings, I believe. And they provided, no, this is, okay, so this is, they provided Q2 revenue guidance and preliminary data regarding the number of homes sold. So it seemed like just in that area from the end of July, there were several different pieces of news that were driving this up. I don't know that we're going to see something like that again today, but because I don't think the news is as good as it was previously. But let's just humor it for a moment. Let's say that we do get some similar moves. Right now, we're currently trying to get back over the 200-day SMA. That's about where the price is right now. I have $2.07 as a 200-day SMA. We're at 204 right now. So if we can manage to get above that, the next area of resistance that I see is going to be at 260, which is basically the support area back from August of last year and October of last year, just about in that area. So that's if we get over the 200-day SMA, and I don't know what we're gonna, how much more we're gonna get after 260. There's a lot of sideways price action from there till about $5. As you can see from that July volatility, it didn't have enough volume to hold up there. So could see some similar rejection around $4, just like it had back in the end of July. Just some things I'm seeing here, because I don't know what kind of price action we're going to get, but just in the case that we get over that 200-day SMA, that's what I'd be looking at, because 260 is the next resistance area, and $3 should be pretty stiff.
Okay. Good stuff there on OPAD. Really quickly here, thinking about it, says, is OPAD a Chinese knockoff of the iPad? And Nestor says probably. It probably works and costs 50% as well and costs 50% less. Good tongue in cheek there. Not what the case is, but no, it is what it is.
They're kind of like a platform for buying and selling homes.
Yeah. The Jazz Sniper, since you asked so nicely. There you go. We're going to get ready to get rolling here. Okay, that is OPAD. Good breakdown there, 13. We'll see if that gives us a trade. Next here is going to be Velo. This is Velo 3D. And where is that? Dive Deep is saying Velo just changed their name, and that's why it's up. Dive Deep, let's take a look and see what's going on here. Velo 3, and this is as of this morning, participates in the U.S. Army AVMC and M&S program funded initiative to advance high throughput aluminum CP1 additive manufacturing for defense applications in collaboration with Raytheon Research Center. Okay, I don't know what a lot of this stuff means. Maybe 13 does. I'd be really impressed if he does, but it looks like it's a slightly bit more than changing their name. I actually don't even see a name change in here. So debut. So no, actually looks like this is a legitimate piece of news here. Quick look around the horn on this one. Nothing in terms of the short interest here. I've got 0.13% with 1 day to cover. Average volume on the stock is 3.4 million. We're almost there already. And the float's 1.72. So kind of a low float name. 13, what do you think here on VELO, Velo 3D?
I had a comment that I was going to make about something else, but well, yeah, because even if it was just a ticker name change, we've seen some other stocks run on the most ridiculous stuff, like a stock was a filing for a patent, or announced the collaboration. Stocks will run on some of the most ridiculous things. So just to keep that in mind, yes, it could be running on a ticker change, but I don't think that's what's happening here. It's the partnering with the U.S. Army and Raytheon. That seems big. That's a bigger thing. Now, to advance high throughput additive manufacturing for aluminum CP1 and defense applications. So aluminum CP1 is a aluminum alloy that's designed for metal additive manufacturing, like 3D printing. So that's the angle here with that. This apparently is some kind of 3D printing company. That's why it's called Velo 3D.
So, yeah, producer here. This is the giant 3D printer that popped the other morning.
Oh, okay.
And I think you guys commented on this one. It's like a huge 3D printer that can print large things. I think I remember talking about that. And that must have been, this was Thursday or Wednesday. So I was here both days for that.
Thursday, it looks like that was the day, because that's the day that had the highest volume. I'm going to go with that. Usually the highest volume day is the day it pops. And we're trading up here, like we're at 508. So we're kind of filling the gap that we received from last Monday. I don't know. I didn't look and see what the news was last Monday that pulled this thing down, caused a gap down. But we are trying to fill the gap in the pre-market here. And that gap fills right. If we're looking at the wicks, that fills at about 521. And if we're looking at the real body, that's going to fill the gap at about 568. We also have the 20 and 50-day SMAs in the way. So there's a lot of resistance on the way up here. So I don't know how great this one will be. But $6 looks to be the next resistance area if we do get above the 20. Let me look at my broker's chart and see if I have anything that I can look at there. So this thing is just on a rip right now. And we're coming up to what looks to be a bit of a resistance area that I was just pointing out from when we dropped back on last Monday. So that's going to be just beneath the 20-day SMA at about 530. So that whole area there with the gap fill, with the wick, the body, and the 20-day SMA, this is a big resistance area that it's going to have to try and get over here. So maybe we'll see that. It's got a lot of supply to chew through, all the way up through 9. So I don't know how great this is going to be with everything that it has to get through, but it's a low float stock. We might be able to see this get through all that. I just don't know if it will.
And it'll be really interesting to see how this thing actually trades. If it gets up to this 5.5, what does it do when it re-enters this area for the first time in a week or so? So, okay, good stuff there on Velo. Couple of other quick ones here to mention. ASST, this is one that I feel like we trade often on the show. It regularly makes appearances on the relative volume scanner and also sometimes with the morning PRs. We did have a pop here that was just shy of 7 before ASST came back in. What's going on here this morning? PR here, Asset Entities announces S4 declared effective by SEC and shareholder approval vote for merger with Strive to be held on September 9th. Now, I don't remember the specifics of this merger, which we will probably have to look into, but I won't bore you by poking around for that now. Quick look at the short interest here. This, I think, is the key. 40.92% of the float shorted, and this thing has done nothing but kick up since May. And when I mean kick up, I mean substantially. Went from 8.8 to 24, then hovered around that for 3 prints, then went up to 32.5. Now we're at 41%. Now we get this PR here, things up 27%, shorts are jammed, 2.58 days to cover. Your average volume here, 5.26 million shares. That today we've traded twice that. The float here is 15 million. 13, what do you think here on ASST? Oldie but goodie, we're going to get another opportunity today?
We might. Look at the daily chart if you could.
Sure.
So I've got the price over the past week and a half was getting some support from the 20-day SMA, and it kind of held up, but it was having trouble getting through the 50. Well, we're above the 50 now in the pre-market, so I think if once we open here, we're going to have that as support. But the other thing is that if you do me the favor of drawing a trend line, oh, look at that, you have one that we broke out of. So hey, this thing has already got. That's not the trend line I want you to draw. It's that one there.
We're probably this one then, yeah.
Yeah. That's going to be the next one to break out of. And since we've already seen how well this deals with trend lines, I think that this is probably going to end up happening here. At the very least, we'll get a test of this trend line. But if we do break through it, the other side of it, where there's going to be resistance, I see it at about 8. If you draw a line at 8 and you look at this price action ever since May when we created this big gap up in the structure that we're currently in. 8 has been the level that has had the most difficult time with. We did have several closes above it that took us up to over $13, but we've since come back in, and we've had no closes above 8 since. So I think $8 is going to be a big resistance area if we get over this trend line. This is something to watch for today.
Okay, really good stuff there on ASST. We'll see how this ends up trading here. Kindred Duke, good morning. Long time. Good to see you again, boss. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hope you are well. Hope you and family are well. I beg your pardon. Okay. The other one on the list that I wanted to mention real quick is just one from recent trading here. I know we've all kind of traded LiDAR a little bit recently. Last time we had this trend line when this thing was flirting with 3. It broke away, went lower, never did anything. Now we're actually back up to that same area right around 3. 3 clearly acting as resistance on this again. Also worth noting that we have a double top here around 328. So if we get through 3 here today, 328 is absolutely going to be one of your next levels. Now, I didn't see anything on that. I didn't check earlier. Okay, LiDAR AI and Blue Band announced strategic partnership to accelerate smart city infrastructure with AI-driven LiDAR solutions. So it's forming, I don't know Blue Band. I don't know that company, but AI forming a strategic alliance with them. Stocks up 8% here today. Quick look around the horn, 16.32% of the float is shorted. That comes on 1 day to cover, and that 1 day to cover comes on an average volume of 17.8 million shares. So plenty of volume in this thing. We've only traded 1 million here today. Float is just shy of 39 million. 13, what do you think here on LIDR?
That area you mentioned of resistance, I just kind of eyeballed it at 325, and I know you gave a slightly different figure. I think it was like 328. Go with that, because I think that whole area right there, give or take a number of cents, I think that's the big resistance you're looking at today. That's been resistance since the beginning of this month when we fell back underneath that price. Haven't been able to recapture it since. So I think that 325, 328, whatever it was, that's going to be an important area. I think that's absolutely the case. Now, if we do manage to get above that, we're going to be into some supply that we have to chew through. And that could be difficult even going up through 4. 430, though, is where I would have the next resistance area if we can manage to get through 4. And then from that point on, it's just going to be dollar increments like 5, 6, 7.
Yep.
So that's the way I would look at LiDAR here. If we could, and it's great that we actually have are above the 20-day SMA right now. But let's see what happens when we open. If we can hold that, that means we're going to have to stay above 283. And if we can, then this thing may be able to break out through 325. But those are the levels I'd be watching. Just need to get the volume to match it and take this up. Okay.
Really good stuff there. LIDR. All right. I think that's it. We're 3 minutes to open. I'm flipping over to the main workspace here. We are getting ready to rip it. Let's go. And you know what, 13? Is there anything that you want to take a quick look at? Because I have enough time to visit the washroom before the open today, and I am going to take advantage. Let me actually put STSS up here. Okay, so it looks like this. Okay, I'll be right back, 13.
All right, sounds good. Well, he's going to do that. Let's see if there's anything that's interesting happening here on the main news feed. One thing that I will mention, and we can also talk a little bit about it if we have time when Ryan gets back, is how I've been mentioning that one big news article, it wasn't really an article, it was a video that was created by a YouTube channel called Gamers Nexus, has been taken down because of a DMCA strike that Bloomberg provided. Now, there's some big controversy going around that strike right now because it's completely unwarranted, and there may be some ulterior motives. There may be something else that's causing Bloomberg to do this. Very close ties they have with NVIDIA, and that whole 3.5-hour video was talking about the black market supply chain for NVIDIA chips. So that video obviously struck a nerve because it got taken down, and it looks like it's going to get put up in 10 days. But there's something in there that Bloomberg didn't like, and I'm kind of curious to see how this develops because I think this is something that bears worth taking up. I was just mentioning how that Gamers Nexus video that had the black market supply chain for NVIDIA chips was taken down because of the DMCA strike that
you don't say.
Bloomberg put on there. Yeah, but you know what? It seems like Gamers Nexus really struck a nerve with that video.
So that means they're over the target.
Yeah,
I'd say. Okay, real quick here. Also, kind of a advisory note here. I don't see any of the Twitter comments in the chat here today, but I do have confirmation from my producer that the stream is running. So, folks, if you are on the stream on Twitter, we are not ignoring you. I don't see your comments, and it seems to be a restream problem. So I apologize. If you want to immediately remedy that situation, log in on YouTube and hit the like. Pete says Gamers Nexus really does great investigative reporting. They sure do. And they are proving it yet again.
And it could be that Bloomberg's just really butthurt about it because they tried to uncover the very thing that Gamers Nexus did, and they did a much better job reporting this than Bloomberg. So it could be that they're just trying to squash small journalism, but it could be some other things as well. And I think it might have to do with a nerve being struck. All right, so OSRH, this thing is starting to move up to our 115 level here, finding some resistance. We'll see if it can push through that. Caps dropped initially, but it's trying to turn around and recapture that VWAP, and in the process also try to break out of this trend line here.
STSS pulled back, actually faked a move like it was going to go higher there, could not get above the last pre-market high and pulled back here. So I've got 1169 as that area in which it fell from. STSS pulling now sub 11.
And LiDAR with some movement out of the gate here, but it's not moving very much. Seems like we have a little bit of a slow morning in some of these names. OSRH with the best movement so far, pushing up to 120.
We don't have any slow movement in ONDS as that continues to move higher here. Lion making a unpopular call that a recession is coming. Lion, I appreciate you making the bold call, but I respectfully disagree with you. ONDS pulled off that a little high impulse move that it had. ASST, this actually looks like it might be trying to go through, what is this? The 9 EMA?
Caps is starting to move now. This broke through our trend line. We came up to 2. We're pushing through that. 214 is the pre-market high.
Chat's mentioning Tharamune from last week. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Big pop on volume 2 out of the. So is anyone still in this looking for a new trade on this? I don't have any Thar.
Sounds like a Dr. Seuss.
I was going to say, it did. It's on Dr. Seuss superhero, something like that.
To answer your question, Andrew, Senior TV, UI, it looked okay. So it looks like they just had earnings last week, but I think they're moving today on relative volume. That's what I would be kind of putting it on right now because that was a big volume candle on Friday. And I think we're just getting some continuation of that. So I think this is relative volume. And, this could continue to move up some more. I don't know where this party ends. This actually is going to be some new all-time highs here today. But I think, I'd be paying myself a little bit at least. But that's up to you. You decide what you're going to do with your account. It looks like we are breaking out to new all-time highs here today, and we have a bit of a resistance that we're facing right now at 520.
Real quickly here, I don't see a whole lot of reaction in the market. NASDAQ moving lower. NASDAQ just got hit here. But what's interesting is that prior to that, Netflix, Apple, Palo Alto, Amazon all like traded up in like a nice move up, and now are coming off those highs. NASDAQ continuing to hit the lows here. I don't think I missed anything.
We have earnings for NVIDIA in 2 days.
Yeah, that's and 13. Oh, thank you for reminding me. You were not here when I commented on this earlier, but I said that you had floated for a while before any of these folks on TV. You had floated that the NVIDIA earnings print might be the event, if you will, where we really start to see this sell-off into September. And I got to be honest, man, the closer we get to that with the action that we see, I think you might be onto something.
It's kind of interesting how the seasonality is lining up really well with the NVIDIA earnings, because once we get them out of the way, and we're anticipating some weakness going into September and then really picking up after September begins, the only real big event prior to September is going to be the NVIDIA earnings. We also get PCE and GDP this week with the BLS jobs report, not this Friday, but next Friday. So those are going to be some other events that are going to certainly move the market, especially that jobs report. Now with the Feds, giving us some focus on the labor market. But as far as earnings go, NVIDIA is the big name that's reporting, and they are the largest market cap company. So yeah.
Okay. Real quick, by the way, this might be it. President Trump post on Truth Social. What's going on in South Korea seems like a purge or a revolution. We cannot have that and do business there. I'm seeing the new president at the White House today. Expect some more news regarding South Korea. If that indeed is what caused that move down in the NASDAQ, just prepare yourself for some potential more headlines to come out later. It does look like we're rebounding from that now in the NASDAQ, and as well as some of those individual names. The sell-off has stopped in Palo Alto, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, all back up towards their highs. So maybe a knee-jerk reaction.
We are getting some more upside movement here in OSRH. That's one of the ones we were looking at this morning. This had no news. Coming up to 123 before pulling back now. Now I've drawn a trend line here just to satisfy my own curiosity. I started it from that move that we had on Friday. That took us up to just shy of $1. Started there, and I drew it through the highs of the pre-market today. And then at the open, we moved through this trend line here. Now we're back testing it as support. So I'm starting to think that this trend line we're going to have to just keep in mind here. Do you want me to tell you how I drew it?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was actually answering a teammate's question here because I was out. What stock are you talking about? And I'll go ahead and draw it.
OSRH.
Oh, Rustam's.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to do it for Rustam. We have to. So, okay, trend line from the where?
Right at that first impulse move. Yep. And draw it through the wicks of the pre-market.
Oh, baby.
Yep. So that was a nice little break. Now we're back testing it as support. Let's see if it holds.
AEHR, good stuff on the trend line there. AEHR, good mention here. Jay, nice move higher here. AEHR Test Systems shares are trading higher after the company received a follow-on orders for 6 package level test and burn-in systems. This is a great piece of news here. AEHR, a nice move up here. Jay trimming more. So we're going to give a cash register ring for that. Great stuff, Jay. By the way, folks, for those of you that are trading on this is what we want to see. Follow-up orders on those drones. I know we did have some news here regarding SafePro to provide AI threat detection system to the drones. That's good news too. But if we see follow-up orders, oh boy, giddy up. That's going to be good. All right. And then, 13, STSS, which I had talked about initially selling off. This actually reversed, but stopped at the VWAP. So still another key level to keep in mind there.
Yeah, at 1250 area, kind of where some of that the pre-market supply really kicks in. So Going to be a bit of a resistance area, but we could still try and chew through it if we continue with this volume. It's getting a pull back beneath the V-up right now, so wait for it to set up again. And then also, Pretty Panda, thank you for mentioning this because I was going to try to get this in here, but HCWB, they did pop up into a halt. They are currently halted right now. It looks like we get an unhalt from this in what about 3 or 4 minutes.
This would have just halted, right? I don't.
Yeah, so it might be 3 minutes. We'll see. I don't have the exact time when it halted in front of me.
And actually, I don't see it in the halt list here either. You know what, though? That might have just been close to the open. Let me get back on that. I think that'll actually correct itself. But interesting to note here, HCWB right to the pre-market high in the halt. THAR, which halted earlier 13, same deal. Right to that pre-market impulse high. Now we have the makings of an intraday double top here. This pulling back and going back for its VWAP. That's ticker THAR. By the way, STSS, which we were just talking about, that stopped in its tracks at the VWAP. That level still going to be key as well. I've got that at 1239. This thing's spread and moving pretty good, so just be careful with this one.
And then OSRH Smoke Tuna saying that it wants 130 first. We did just get up to 124. Is there a little? I see that there's a big seller in the way at 130, so I can absolutely see that point. But this 124, is that not enough, or are we going to see that big pop and then come back in? Let me know what you think.
Roblox on the relative volume scanner. This is moving higher after that news that we talked about last week.
Oh yeah, it's up at that a little bit past that 125. Let's see if we get a close above that. Still not confident in this one. As a matter of fact, this might be putting in some kind of a little bit of a head and shoulders with a feather in its hat.
A head and shoulders with a feather in its cap. How about that?
I mean, I don't know how else to describe that one crazy candle we got on July 31st with the earnings, but it's starting to set up a right shoulder. So just kind of looking at that as a potential head and shoulders here. If we can go higher and take out the pick up 135, then that invalidates that head and shoulders idea. But let's just see what we end up getting here today, because I still think there's more downside coming for Roblox. All right, Smoke Tuna, here goes our OSRH trying to push up over 120. I think we're going to see either a test of 130 like you were looking for, or we're going to get a rejection here and we're going to lose VWAP.
Okay, open is continuing, OPEN. Okay, this right at the pre-market highs here. I still think 530 is going to be one of your key levels here on open. Nice move from the lows so far. I don't see any news on this move.
That's okay. Well, I won't underestimate that thinking about it. But if parents are going to take their kids off the platform, then I don't think their ability to get a couple bucks out of them is going to matter.
Yeah, that's not going to matter a whole lot.
I mean, they are a growth company and they need the growth. So if this is going to hamper their daily active users at all, it's going to be tough. And here's the thing: Roblox is not, they're not on the side of, well, let's try to make sure that we keep kids safe and put all these tools in place so that nothing, child predators don't aren't able to engage with them. They're not doing any of that. They're not doing any of that. They're dooming their own platform. If they say go to all-time highs, okay, that could do that too. But I still think that this company is garbage. They lose millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars every quarter. They're dependent fully on growth. And this lawsuit, now that it's been filed with the state of Louisiana, just wait for more to come.
I was going to say that might expand. That's the big thing there. If more lawsuits come in, I don't think the story's over there in Roblox. By the way, STSS, this might be making another attempt here. Still spread a little bit, still kind of volatile. This might be one that you scale into. I would just be very careful and have a plan in case it doesn't work here. We're struggling to get above that VWAP. We got wicks up to that VWAP. It really just can't hold it. If it moves through it, yeah, it could really go, probably even a couple of bucks. Just be careful. Empyrean says, no, Roblox is blowing it. Very glad I sold after earnings. There you go. Robert, good morning. It's great to see you again. You guys got to have weed names on Watchman for the next weeks. It should be fun. 13 has been talking about that for a while. September 2nd, when Congress comes back. Safe Banking Act, rescheduling. Those are your two things there. MSOS has been the ETF that we have been talking about. That's up another 4.3%. Boy, I sure piked that when I was just trading it overnight. I have been scaling in the CGC myself. It's the only position I have. I actually am up on this now. That's ripping here. I think someone else mentioned Tilray earlier this morning. So sure looks like the weed names are going pretty, Panda.
Yep. And, we haven't seen HCWB unhalt yet. So I'm wondering if there's something else happening here. Like maybe there's some news coming.
I still don't have a signal entry for that. By the way, STSS, sorry to keep going back to this. We are flirting with the VWAP right now. Man, I think it's gonna try to go through this. Really, my question is gonna be what happens if it does make it through that.
It looks like OSRH ain't gonna try for 130 just yet. That came right back down, right about to the open, right where we're at. Spot, my biggest watch list screen this morning. That seems like that's going to be just a good company just to hold on to for a while. I mean, even if it comes back in, that maybe just unless internet radio is going to go away for good, I think Spot's a great long-term play.
I use Spotify, by the way, on my both to and from my drive to Detroit. I pay for Spotify, have for a while. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. Made that drive go by in a flash. Smoke Tuna mentioning OPAD here, one of our movers from this morning. Here we go. OPAD pushing higher here. STSS right by that VWAP. No position on any of these day trades yet for me here today. I will let you know if I get filled on any of them.
Got a bit of a trend line in OPAD. If it moves up now, we might see 260. Caps is also trying to get going here, trying to hold over 2. Looks like we just came back in. Seems like $2 is a big struggle for Caps, but if we can push through and hold above it, then we might see this thing go on a bit of a run.
Here we go. Thank you, Big Dave. It does look like the that's WGRX. That's a different stock there. That looks like that is halted there on volatility. Bilal saying, have you looked at open? I can't tell if you just joined and you're serious or if you're trolling us because we literally just talked about it. Like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's not putting in the greatest candle this morning. The better moves, of course, on Friday. But it's struggling to go much higher. So I don't know what we're going to get out of this today. If we end up, if the candle kind of closes like it is right now, where it's like an inverted hammer, then that might be a signal that we're going to come back in lower on Tuesday or Wednesday. Very extended RSI as well.
AEHR continuing to print some new highs. 25 tests coming here. Grats to everybody. And Chewbacca loves it. Also, STSS straight up rejected at that VWAP. This was the third time so far. This got immediately pulled back down to the lows on STSS. Here's my question, though. I don't feel good about buying VWAP breaks, but on pullbacks like this, maybe this will be tradable now.
Still watching Caps. It looks like this is trying to get going. We just need some more of a bigger volume expansion, and then we could see a potential break of 214. OSRH, that one's getting some support from the $1 level. Looks like 108 actually. Just trying to push back up over VWAP right now.
On OSRH, let me load that up here.
HCWB finally opened, gapped up, and went to 648. It might be coming back in to fill the gap to the downside, and then maybe it turns around and goes higher. But this one just opened.
HCWB.
Yep. Finally,
There it is.
Yep.
Yeah, and you know what? This actually opened above that resistance area. Here's what I would say for a trade here. If this pulls back at all, you definitely want to hold this, or we're probably going to test some of those levels lower here. Okay, it looks like several of you folks are on this one. Okay, awesome. HCWB, grats if any of you took that one. 13, let me ask you, where are you at right now with taking profits on day trades? Are you trying to let these things run? Does it depend on your entry? Are you quick to get out and just put your gains in your pocket? What do you think with the environment we're in now?
The environment that we're in doesn't really inspire me to hold things for any amount of time. These are just quick trades, get in, get out, get the move that I'm looking for, and just be done. Because we haven't lately, the trading hasn't, and smoked tuna. I don't see any 100% runners, so we have that as well. But I mean, maybe the OSRH is just barely above 100, but that's on no news. That could come back under 100 pretty easily. So I don't. I just don't like the environment enough to let things run. Now we have seen a lot of things do much better in the afternoon. So I'm much more inclined to, trade these things and be a tiny bit riskier in the afternoon since that's been working. But for the most part, I've been trading mostly just the TQQ trade. That's been working every day that it's set up. So I've just been going with that.
Okay, call those out for me because I'd be interested in that too. Jay Michael here says, get green and get out. Scalps have been the best for me. So you know what? I'm not against that. I would love. I know we had a couple of these movers really move last week. I almost wonder how much we're going to get here today on that. I too would be in that same position where I'd be a little bit quick on some of these day trades. The swings, we got plans for all that. That's a little bit different. But some of these day trades, I think I'm still going to be in the column to quickly liquidate those and get those gains booked.
Yeah, I mean, right now the market just kind of feels sideways right now. Like indecisive. It doesn't know what it really wants to do. I think we're just gonna maybe see some slow moves until we get into the Nvidia earnings. I could see that happening.
Palantir down to 140. Excuse me, 150. Oh my God, I blew that. I'm sorry. Palantir trading down to 150. Current price 150.15. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah, I like being accurate if I misread something. OPAD, that is still continuing upward. Tuna, what do you think the top is here on OPAD, or Tuna and 13? What do you think the top is here?
I drew a trend line that kind of gives me an idea of where this might go. I started from Friday.
The after hours prints there.
Well, you could do that one. Yeah, let's go with that one. Start there, draw it through the 241 high. And that should give you, like, if this candle did it right now, we'd be going up to like 255, 260.
Yeah, okay. I've got just about the same thing there on the trend line. Good stuff. STSS, again, after the bounce, cannot quite get back up to its VWAP there. It might be rolling over a little bit on STSS. I got to think, after looking at some of the action here, I'd be careful about this. I definitely wouldn't be buying any upside breaks. Wait for this to test the downside level here. We get plenty of them. And then I'll say if we lose this 1075, I think we probably got to wait for this to settle out. We'll see. STSS. Okay, Tesla a little bit lower. Actually, that broke its pre-market lows. Apple at the highs here, 229 on Apple. That's straight up out of the gate. Palo Alto straight down out of the gate, 182. Actually, I wonder where the buying opportunity is on Palo Alto. It's going to be this trend line. Yep, here we go. So got to reset that view. Here we go. Here is that trend line. We're going to have that spot down here, 180. So maybe another 2 points might be a potential buy-in spot, pan W, for a short-term trade. See if it holds that trend line that you had me draw, 13.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about the way that this price action has been shaping up here. With
I don't blame you.
What we don't want to have happen is the 50-day SMA cross the 20-day SMA to the downside. That could be coming here probably as soon as this week. Maybe not, but I'd probably think September is going to be more likely. But it's also kind of having a hard time getting above this 188 level. So it seems like we're a little bit of trouble here with Pan W. But if we can get over that 200-day SMA and start closing above that in the 50 and fill this gap, I wouldn't be so concerned.
Palo Alto uses Intel chips or TSMC. Well, which is it? Or is it both? Real quick here, looking at the VIX is actually up. It's up by 4%, but it's been down since the open. I'm looking at the market here, and the market almost looks like it wants to test a little bit lower here on both the SPY and the Qs. The Qs are trying to hang in there. Bitcoin got sunk down to like 110 on the futures and bounced. I'm almost wondering if we see more weakness ahead today in tech, if Bitcoin cannot recover, if Bitcoin retests some of those lows, maybe that starts pulling tech down with it. It looks like that's what it did this morning.
HCWB, after that unhalt, we did fill the gap to the downside, and we are bouncing and reversing. So let's see if we can go on to make some newer highs. 648, the current high of the session. Okay. Let's see. There was also some other stuff that was going on as well. OPAD, right to my trend line.
Right to it. Between Smoke Tuna and 13 here, we're going to get all the sound effects rolling. This was amazing. Right to the trend line, and it's stopping there. Beg your pardon. It's actually going through the trend line now. Really good stuff. Damn, I didn't hit OPAD. Good job on all of you.
All the same. It hit the trend line. This is, for me, this is where I would start taking profit.
Okay, there you go. You're getting a little bit more there.
Yep.
And I'm glad we talked about that. I'm glad we talked about profit targets on some of these movers. You got a nice move out of the open here on OPAD. If you tried for the break higher here, you got rewarded. That's 40 cents on this 220 stock. That's a good spot to take gains there. I like it, 13. I like the money team. Lion here saying, as far as PanW, that might retest 168. So maybe that's a potential buy spot for a swing long on PanW. And folks, just another reminder there. I'm still not seeing any Twitter comments in the chat. I see Twitch. So C12H22, thanks for joining us for Twitch. We see your comments, no problem. So if any of you on Twitter really want to get involved in the chat, please sign into YouTube. While you're there, hit the like and subscribe, because that would be sick. But we are broadcasting, apparently. I just don't see comments.
Yeah, Lion, I do like that 168 area. I think I just would just lean on the 500-day SMA. That's going to be 166.20. So I like that area. OPAD with a little bit of a pullback here. I'm not saying this is going to go right back down to where it started moving up. We could be getting some kind of pattern setup here, but we do have VWAP at 234. So as long as that holds up, we still should be able to get another trade out of this, maybe even a push to that trend line again. But as far as I'm concerned, this is a successful trade already. And if you're not already completely out of this, then you're probably waiting for the next move. So great job if you're trading this one.
There we go. I see Izzy. I see X comments. There we go.
All right.
There we go. Okay. I think producer fixed something probably.
All right. So let's see. HCWB pushing higher, 676 now the high. So that was a great fill the gap and go trade. We just,
what else was great? 13. Your call on Roblox, because this sold off right from that initial impulse move. Barat giving you some flowers on that, buddy.
Thank you, Brett. We still have a whole day. So this is the direction I want to see it go, but let's see what it does, because we still have a lot of downside to go. But I appreciate it, man.
Sideshow, $800 on OPAD. Well done. What do you got? Nice. I've interrupted you twice. What do you got?
It's okay. I was just excited about how well the HCWB worked, because we got that unhalt. We had the gap up from the unhalt, and I said that this would come down to fill the gap. And then once that did, we turned around, recaptured VWAP. We're up to 680 now. This is another little great reversal trade. Don't know how much gas is in this tank though. So maybe do trailing stop, or kind of just set some near target levels and get some profit booked in this, because I don't know what kind of a run HCWB goes on.
Okay, good stuff there. Izzy's asking me if I want to buy a Mahomes rookie. I'm going to be honest with you, Izzy. 1.4 million for a piece of cardboard is a little steep for me, so I'm going to pass on that respectfully. But still, shout out to your buddy for pulling $1 million card out of a pack. That's something else. AEHR. Several of you are mentioning AEHR. This impulse high. It's pulling back a little bit. Honestly, if this settled at the VWAP at 23.25, I think this actually you might actually be able to try that for a trade. STSS is flashing like it might try to go back up to that VWAP again. I'd be very careful. If you bought it here, just have a plan in case it yanks. I would not try buying that upside break. I think that's just a little too risky today.
OPAD trying to push through that trend line again. So we may be getting a little bit of a bull pennant or a bull flag forming here. Might need another candle or two to finish that formation up, but we're still hanging out up here, getting some support from that pre-market high. We'll see what we end up getting here with OPAD. No position. VELO, this thing did nothing but sell off after hitting a pre-market high of 527. So not able to print gains here with this 3D printer company.
Home sales coming in 2 minutes. There we go, Tiger. We'll see if that has effect on any of the mortgage origination or home builder stocks.
Good mention there.
Pan W might be slowing down here at 182. Tesla has already bounced. Actually, what happened here with actually seeing some more rocket calls here as well. That's actually a pretty big one. Those are 18 calls. God, I wonder if that's profit taking or someone just buying the dip in rocket. I gotta think given the news and interest rates, they were probably buying the dip on that. Sorry, 13, get in there.
But Lion, I certainly hope we don't get 3 this year, 3 cuts. I'm perfectly happy with just the 2 that I've been calling for since the beginning or since pretty much earlier in this first half of the year. Looks like we're getting one in September, so hopefully that happens. And then after that, I would expect December. But if we're going to get 3, then that means there's going to be an October one as well. I think that would be if they should not be cutting more than 50 basis points this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree. I don't think you need to make some dramatic 100 full basis point cut or multiple 50. I agree with you, 13. Question here, Pavel asking if we've taken a look at ASST. Yes, we have. We broke it down in the pre-market here. It really hasn't flashed a trade buy yet. It's kind of come in a little bit. It's slowing down now, so maybe if it holds 5, that's fine, but nothing has really wet the whistle yet on ASST. Velo also being asked about here. This has now round-tripped its pre-market move. Well, I guess we can see if it holds here, maybe a little bit lower, 385, but I'm not in a rush to trade this one either.
See that you were getting a mention of
Q's reversed. Sorry, 13.
Of Rocket Lab going.
Okay,
take a look and see if the how the space names are doing. Got a bit of a mixed day today in space. What's up?
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of space, didn't we have the Starship launch get scratched last night?
That got scrubbed. I haven't looked to see when they're going to try again. It might, but we still have that window that they already filed for. So yeah, they just have to announce when, which section of that window they're going to go out of. So it could be today, but it's still potentially going to be this week. I can just give me. Okay, so we got the home sales data.
So I'll take care of that if you wanted to look at something new.
Let me look and see if I can find anything on if they've confirmed a new date for Starship.
Okay, and I do remember that they're pretty nimble on that, so it's quite possible that they're able to do that pretty soon here. U.S. new home sales for July 652,000 versus the 635,000 estimate, so that's a little bit hot there. U.S. new home sales month over month for July down 0.6 versus the positive 4.1% prior move. The prior was revised from 0.06%. Taking a look at Rocket here, this is absolutely trading up off the lows on RKT. Let me go back to the main chart there. We can take a look at some of the other housing stocks and see if that. Lynn is saying that the Starship launch was rescheduled for 7 p.m. tonight. So if we can get a confirm on that. Tiger said they're going to do it August 26th. So it looks like there's a little bit of confusion in there on that.
No, they still have a range of days, and they are going to try to shoot for today. That's when they're just going to, and that's probably what's going to end up happening. If they can't do it today, they'll shoot for Tuesday. They can't do it Tuesday, they'll shoot for Wednesday, and that's just going to be the case until they actually launch it, because they still have that whole window to the end of until the end of the month to send this thing up. So it's really just a matter of confirmation when they say that yes, we are going to try again today. They're shooting for today at that same time. That's true.
Okay.
So unless there's something that's more definitive that's come out and said, yes, absolutely, we're going to be trying again today, then that's when it's happening. So I'm just going to keep my eyes open for that same launch window, that same time. It's going to be 6:30 or it's at 7 p.m. So it'll be 6 p.m. My time. We'll see what we end up getting.
PL here. This got mentioned by Webcoin earlier. This is another one of those space stocks, Planet Labs. Yep. This is up on volume here today, ticker PL.
Yep. Planet Labs is up. Rocket Lab is up. Redwire is up. Virgin Galactic is the best performer of my space watch list this morning. We also have ASTS and Black Sky, BKSY. They're also doing pretty good. And Lunar is up 3% as well. So some names, mostly all up. The ones that are down are not down by much, less than 1% mostly. So
real quickly here, the market did reverse. So the Qs are now flirting with a red to green move. They are substantially up off their lows. SPY also tried to curl higher, but really couldn't get through 645 there. Apple's still holding higher. PanW looks like it might have turned around. And NBIS, I did see some options get traded here, but I actually, they kind of scrolled by before I could take a look at them. NBIS, pretty nasty dip out of the open. That's reversed and gone green by 1.5% now.
HCWB is on a tear.
Get that back up here. I think I just had that up here. HCWB, here we go.
And then we also have, what's the other one? Sorry, give me 1 second. There was another one that was also going on a bit of a run. That OPAD. So we're getting a series of upper shadows here. I think that's a signal to be very careful with this one. Okay. It could reverse on us if this candle does not close higher than these other ones. We will have a series of upper shadows, and that would be a signal that this could turn bearish on us. So we have 14 seconds. Let's see how this closes.
And by the way, Tess mentioning, Jared, I took a quick glance there. Jared mentioning that there was a nice bounce going in Bitcoin. And indeed, not only did it bounce off of that 110,500 low, but it actually looks like it might take out one of these pre-market highs that we made at about 825 this morning. So Bitcoin, nice bounce there. That actually, you know what, Yassine, you had asked me to take a look at MSTR earlier, and we ran out of time, and I'm sorry about that. But the move here in Bitcoin, getting me to look at this again, this very much looks like the dip we got in Bitcoin. So it looks like MicroStrategy is trading with Bitcoin here. We do have a whim saying that stocks are trading with Bitcoin, and I'm pretty sure, Strategy acquires 3,081 Bitcoins last week for about $357 million. So I would imagine if Bitcoin continues to be strong here today, you could probably see that get reflected in MicroStrategy, ticker MSTR, Strategy. I keep doing that.
Raj, for HCWB, I mean, you're gonna have to decide where you're gonna take profits, but I'm looking at a daily chart, and it seems like from here to 8 is got a significant amount of consolidation. So it might be difficult for the price to move up through the 7 handle, but I don't want to tell you where the best place to sell out at is, because I'm not exactly sure. It could be here. It could be here. It could be as soon as it reaches 850. Could be a number of different spots. This could also come back later on, but this move here through the 65 EMA that we got on the daily chart all the way up to into the 7 handle, that's a pretty good move. I think it would warrant at least taking some profit. You just have to make the decision where you want to do that. But between 7 and 8, this is a fairly tough spot for the price action, in my opinion.
CRM here, this backed off that initial morning pop. I'm actually seeing calls get bought into this move down. I guess my initial reaction here is that I think CRM might try and bounce here today. Lion saying, I like Zillow because of leadership, so I love to own it. That's why I'm selling a put on it. The other thing here is that the realtor that we talked to in the happy hour also likes Zillow's business model and is extremely bullish on their future. So, Lion, that makes a lot of sense. Izzy mentioning that BMNR can move. That's definitely been a huge mover for us on the treasury strategy stuff. Here's BMNR. Now it looks like, okay, this has actually kind of had a while. So Izzy, I'd be curious to know what you're thinking here, but I would be trading this against 50, right? I'd be looking for maybe an add at 51, stop at 50. We'd hope to break probably 55, maybe even 56 for Friday's intraday high.
Well, if we get through the high of the pre-market, which I have at 53.88, then we're going to be looking at a finishing of a gap fill in the pre-market, because we kind of gapped down in the pre-market here. So I think we'd want to see at the very least the price come up to about what is this, almost 55. It looks like 54.75 is where that gap kind of fills. So we'll see if that ends up happening. Looks like some
Palantir reversed off of that 150, so that sell-off was another buying opportunity. I'm seeing Apple calls get bought here. That's not surprising, giving Apple's candle here today. They're actually right at Friday's intraday high. It's still watch for a move above 230 on Apple. 233 was the spot that we had above that.
Some of these names look like they're coming back in. OSRH, this one of the first ones we looked at this morning. This is starting to come back in towards the 65 EMA. It's at risk of losing $1. So probably not going to trade very well once it does. But if we do lose $1, we have the 65 EMA as its first area of support, followed by looks like 88, 89, maybe even 90 cents as the next support area beneath that, since that was a bit of a breakout spot earlier in the pre-market for the stock.
OSRH, by the way, flirting with 100% gain territory, currently holding higher here by 98.25%.
But it's going south.
NTLA, sorry, 13. Seeing some calls get bought here in NTLA. This is the gene editor. Remember, we actually saw this not long ago on Eat It. NTLA above 11 now.
There was another one I was looking at here. So OPAD. So this now moving up and away from the trend line that we drew.
That was a really good spot there. That was the resistance to sell. It looks like we kind of back tested it in the following 5-minute candle, and now we are pushing higher here.
So earlier when I was talking about this one, I was I was mentioning what we were getting in June, and I believe this was the one where I was saying that this could, if we get above the 200 EMA, or I think I was looking at the my other chart that has my SMAs on it. So if we get above the 200 SMA, this may start to try and push up to some of the levels that we had back in July. So now that we're up here at 270, let's look at the next area of resistance to be at about, look like it's going to be about 315. 315 would be the next area I'd be looking at for resistance, because we're coming up to some at 270. That might happen there, but if we continue to push up, 315 is going to be the next one. All right. And what else do we have going on here? HCWB still trying to push higher. 735 is the session high. SSTS, this thing has just been going kind of sideways for the past 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer there on SSTS or STSS. God, I screwed it up already.
VELO, this looks like it might have finished all its selling. It's down beneath the 65 EMA. Did get a little bit of support from the 200. Might go sideways for a little bit here as it gets its footing. But resistance is going to be that 65 EMA. There's also a large seller, relatively speaking, at 410.
Here is VEL. It did hold that move down, so it's trying to bounce so far. I don't know if it's going to be any good. We'll see. Haven't seen anything else terribly interesting off of the unusual options. Puts on American Airlines. Someone else get delayed too, several hours. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Just saying. Who was it that made the comment last week about American Airlines being the Greyhound bus of airlines? That made me chuckle.
I don't know, but that sounds funny. That's great.
Yeah, it's resonating with me. It's resonating with me.
Oh, I didn't know this, but apparently American Airlines also has a leveraged ETF. So AALG is the long ETF. That's down almost 5%. Let me see if I can figure out what the bear one is. Not that. I mean, I might have to just go through the entire output before I figure out what it is. But AALG, that's the 2x long. Anybody know what the 2x bear is, or the 2x short?
On which one?
This is for the American Airlines. They have ETF leverage ETFs, and the one for maybe it's R. Nope. AALG is the 2x long. So
they might not even have one. We've seen several of those companies that just have one direction.
And then Izzy, any rumors on Tilray or any news on Tilray or just rumors? We're getting close to when Congress returns from their summer recess, and that's when Trump has signaled that we're going to, start making decisions on marijuana reform with rescheduling and the Safer Banking Act and access for veterans affairs. So that's all going to be taking shape beginning either probably next week. We'll start seeing more news about that. So I think it's just moving up in anticipation of that. So I would say maybe rumors. This is a lot of buying the rumor. We'll probably get a big sell the news event if there's some mention by tweet or members of by Trump or members of Congress that we're going to be doing this, and this with marijuana. But so far he's just been hinting at rescheduling, and that's all we've got to go off right now. And when Congress returns from their summer recess.
AEHR, this might be setting up to break the top end of the flag. Top end of that I've got at 24.65. I know we had one push up here towards 25, but that's just a wick that immediately turned into a selling candle. I'd still think this 24.70, 24.75. Watch for that. AEHR has been strong all morning, up 33%. Maybe we actually push higher here.
Folks, we are about 15 minutes away from when the market really does see an exodus out of or volume leaving. So keep that in mind, and let's not get ourselves into anything that's going to be difficult to unload when volume starts to leave. This has been a pretty good morning. I wouldn't want to ruin it. Let's make sure that we've got our trades in a good spot, so that when that volume does start to leave, we're not left holding any bags. Thar halted. Ain't no problem, Izzy. OPAD load 240 if it holds. Okay, so we are getting a little bit of a weakness, and 251 is the one what I have for VWAP. You're saying 241, which is where that high from the pre-market is. So we're going to load at the high from the pre-market smoke tuna. That's the spot. Big Bear Hug saying NVO is racing. That's up 2.3. I mean, it's had a really good reversal off of 45 toward the beginning of the month. We are in a gap right now trying to fill this. It's just taking a very long time, and I don't think we're going to fill this today. We've been working on filling this since Friday last week. There's also going to be a bit of a resistance area around 62.30. So when we get up there, just have that expectation that we could have a little bit of trouble at that level.
Look at Thar. Thar finally hit 630. Big volume candle. This went above the intraday high here. Whoa. Thar is halted to the upside at 630. If you have that and you banked that trade, good stuff. That didn't have that one. STSS. God, I'm sorry to keep going back to this. I hope I'm not giving anybody FOMO. STSS maybe through its VWAP this time. What's up?
So 630 was the high. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't. It was the high last week was 609. And yeah, 630 we just took out. We're halted. Let me see where this ends up going, because we're at 52-week highs. Okay, so this actually no, we're not. I take that back. There's a little bit of a spot back from October of last year where the high is 639, and then we'll be at 52-week highs, and there's going to be a lot of consolidation from about 450 to 8.
STSS here, I did see some size flashing at that 12 spot. It looks like that got tested briefly and then backed off here. I've still got the VWAP slightly above that at 12.18. Does look like STSS is trying. I don't know if it's going to have the strength to get through it. I'm not going to be buying the break on this. I'm actually a little bit nervous about this one to be just in general. Rocket pretty much still back at the lows. So despite that little pop that we got after the housing numbers, still down near the lows. Apple backed off the 230 high. PanW's continuing its bounce.
Looks like OSRH has got caught a bid at $1, trying to turn around and go back up to VWAP now.
A lot of stuff getting mentioned here. NVO getting mentioned in the chat. I'll take a look at that. First, I want to take a look at Open Door. That was going to be one of the movers. Open Door 531.
What's 531?
Sorry, I should have been more clear about that. 531 is this upper boundary. 530, 531. It really has struggled to get above this in the pre-market and twice in the regular session here today.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, got that 536 is the pre-market high. There was the high from when pre-market opened that was right up in there too. So I see your point about how 535 is pretty stiff resistance area ever since the pre-market opened.
There we go on STSS. That did finally move through its VWAP. It's popping here. I would not chase this name. I'm curious to see if and just like that, got traded right back down to its VWAP. I actually have the VWAP a little bit lower in my broker there at 1202, but as soon as that cleared out that 12 block, higher it went here. STSS.
If this pushes back up again and manages to get through this session high, the pre-market high is where I'm not looking at the pre-market high. I'm actually looking at the high from the consolidation following the impulse move that took us up to 1777. I think this consolidation here is really going to be what's going to be difficult for the upward price action here. And that's going to be from about where the price is right now all the way up to almost 14.
And then you guys were also talking about NVO here. We talked about that being a potential retracement move. And it sounds to me, okay, so it's having a good day today. Lots of green candles and green buying volume in there as well. Here's a look at the daily chart. We're in this gap now, aren't we? Yeah, we are firmly in this gap, and this gap doesn't fill till 69. So nice stuff here on NVO. No position for me. This does look like this is pretty good. This is actually set up pretty nice. If it can fill that gap, still another 10 points from where it's at right now. Thar is open, and indeed it is. Thar open looks like it popped. Oh, excuse me. Actually, it looks like it pulled, and now it's going to continue to pull. On Thar, Bitcoin continuing its move higher. MicroStrategy should have followed.
Yeah, SoFi is having some pretty good moves.
That was a huge rip on Friday, and then another continuation move today, 13.
Yeah, I think I'd be a little bit careful with this spot right here. This is, we're still not at all-time highs, but we're very, very close, and we've gone past the resistance that was being put in back from 2021. We're getting up to the all-time highs, and it seems to me like 2620. is going to be the big area that's going to have the most struggle with. But if we can get through that, then I think 28's next. Then STSS break. Sure enough, we're trying to chew our way through this pre-market consolidation here. Once it gets to 1430, if we can get above that, we should see the 15, maybe even a retest of that 1777 pre-market high.
SoFi is just, this is great. For any of you that are in SoFi or had kind of a long investment on this, boy, oh boy, this is a nice move here. And this is after a pretty nice move on Friday as well.
And one thing that has worked really well for SoFi, and you can just, draw a line at RSI if you want to get an idea just how weird this works. But every time that the the RSI drops to under 36, it starts to get upward pressure on the price action. So you can look at every time that we started trading underneath 36 on the RSI, that usually leads to more upward pressure, usually a spike that follows. Now, it frequently comes underneath, it has come underneath 36 back in 22 when we were having a bear market briefly. But for the most part, every time that we dip under 36 or hit 36, we go on to have a pretty big move, especially since August last year, and the two most recent times back in March and April.
Are going higher here. It's a good mention. Jared says, I have a large long in SoFi from the low teens, and I'm loving it.
Nice.
Jared, what's the trade plan on that? Is it a long-term hold? Are you looking for a specific level? What are you looking for in order to get at least partial of the gains booked? Maybe not all of it, but at least partial.
FAR is coming up to a pretty big consolidation area from it starts at 7 and goes to about 850. This is back from the end of 2023. All right, let's look at some of these other names. A little bit of a coming back in with HTWB. That's lost its VWAP. If this continues to come back in, we're going to want to see the 580 hold. STSS. That's pulling back a little bit.
Yeah, that's not a surprise. After the action we saw here today, I'm entirely unsurprised to see an STSS pullback. If it holds the VWAP, though, maybe.
It is almost 5 minutes away from the 10:30 time when we start to see volume leave. So let's keep that in mind as we're trading here. Don't want to get caught in anything when volume leaves.
This one is intriguing to me because it moves really good, and I feel like if you catch this one right, can really make some gains. But it is worth noting that if you chase and you enter at the wrong moment here, this thing could pull back in your face, and I don't feel great about any guarantee or anything like that of it going higher. Izzy saying SoFi, own it at 5 in my retirement account. That's what I'm talking about, Izzy. Your retirement is going to involve like lake houses and card collecting, and I am here for it. I am absolutely here for it. Thank you, producer, by the way, if I didn't thank you already, for getting the chatting from X fixed so we can interact with our X audience as well.
Our excellent audience.
Excellent audience. Like Tess, for example.
All right,
I also bought SoFi at 5 for my grandchildren. Long-term hold. Tess is going to have good grandma vibes there. I love that.
She's going to be the cool grandma who invested in the crypto stocks.
Oh, those birthdays for the grandkids, they're going to be lit. Candy and video games I see in their future. I'm just kidding. That's what I wanted when I was a little kid from my grandparents. I'm just saying.
It looks like OPAD is getting some support from VWAP. Now, I'm looking across all of these here, and the volume is not looking great in really any of them. So I think that's kind of our signal here. That,
you know what, though, 13?
Careful. What?
The only one that I think volume looks decent in is STSS, and that's because it picked up for it finally breaking the VWAP. I mean, this is the only volume that I see that's any good right now, and I would almost rather this pull back and hold a level for a trade as opposed to chasing something like this. We've already seen a couple of big knives in this.
Yeah, this has got a seller that's chewing through right now at 1310. There, it just took that one out.
And there's more at 1323 right there. Went right to that spot. This is kind of thin trading. It might be algo based.
It's very, very thin, very spready. I mean, there's a lot of gaps between the prices. I'm seeing at least 10-cent spreads. It's like it gets bigger when the price is getting volatile. So be very careful with this one, especially with the volume starting to leave.
JVS Rancher, what kind of cars do you collect? I said cards, CARD. Izzy seems
but if you could collect cars, what would they? be.
Dude, if I could collect cars, if money were no object and I could collect cars, I would probably start my collection with a couple of really nice old American muscle cars. 70s Camaros, 60s GTO, 68 Corvette Stingray. I'd go for a couple of those American classics to start off my collection. But to answer his question, Izzy seems to have a line on all of these really rare, really expensive sports cards. Football, baseball, etc. You know what? Dive deep for those Lambos. Maybe I would have like a Diablo just for nostalgic vibes, but I like the new ones more than the old ones. The Ferrari's a different story. Like an old Ferrari F40. Okay, that's a collector's item, sure. But the Lambos, I think I'd rather have the new ones.
OPAD is still getting support from VWAP. Watch for some volume expansion that takes us back up over 260. To your point about some of these classics, when I was growing up, I don't know if you were the same as me, but there were two non-American cars that I thought were just the coolest looking. They weren't the best performers, but they were awesome looking. And that was the Testarossa and the Countach.
Yeah, those are definitely Yep, I liked both of those from my childhood. The Testarossa was interesting because people used to buy Pontiac Fieros and cut the frame and make them into Ferrari kit cards, and they would copy the Testarossa. But
they just look really
OPAD
good.
Here, re-challenging the trend line that 13 identified.
Nice.
Oh, dude, oh man, there are some sick cars being mentioned here in the chat. Love all of you folks. 68 Shelby Mustang. Yeah, I'd take that.
LiDAR
LIDR
is testing the session high of 309. Volume isn't that great, but it's trying to push through there. There's a seller at 310 that's going to have to get through in order to go higher. So we need to see volume expand here, and we can move higher. Just thought I'd point that out.
I'm looking around here, and I'm almost wondering, market, like the Qs here. Let me actually go to the Qs because we talked a little bit about SQQQ, TQQQ. Haven't really been on an entry for that. Tell me, 13, does this intraday 5-minute chart kind of look like Qs is bull flagging and might try and go higher here? That was my first. I'm trying to check my bias. That was my first thought when just glancing at this intraday chart.
I would say that it looks like it's trying to get back to 575. But I'm not liking the way that we're kind of getting a formation here on the daily chart. If we get to 575 and can't go any higher, I think we're getting a right shoulder formation if that's the case. If you look at a daily chart, I think you'll see what I mean.
Here you go. Well, gosh, I know we were talking about a head and shoulders earlier. Maybe this is even a little head and shoulders.
Looks like it could be. So that's why I'm looking at that 575 area and thinking, well, if we do hit that area and we can't close and go higher, that might be a pattern forming. Something to watch for. THAR getting into that consolidation I mentioned back from the end of 2023, still trying to push higher.
Man, straight up on THAR.
Look, I don't. If resistance doesn't happen, around here, I'm thinking it's going to probably happen around 850. So we'll see if that's the case or not.
Smoke Tuna saying Thar is on the loose. It might see 10 if it can hold 7. Vic here. This is a good question. Vic Valens saying, good morning. Good morning, Vic. I've been meaning to ask, what percentage of your portfolio do you assign, I think is what he meant, to day trading, and how do you invest the rest? Hopefully you feel comfortable sharing. I can. So a couple of things. Number one, when you're above 25K, you're going to get day trading buying power assigned to your account. In other words, if you have, I think 25K, I think you have probably, it depends on your broker, but you probably have like $75,000, $80,000 worth of buying power for day trading only. So you can actually go over the available cash that you have and use some of your margin in that case. From a general rule of thumb, I try not to use more cash than I have on hand for a day trade, and I definitely try not to use all of it. I don't have a multi-million-dollar account, so we're not talking about huge numbers here, but I'm comfortably over the pattern day trading limit. So I sometimes actually step into the day trading buying power that you have.
Sorry to interrupt you real quick. BMR might try to push through a trend line here. I drew it from the pre-market levels. I just noticed that it started to push up towards it, and it might not break it, but just, somebody was mentioning that it could. So if it's going to happen, it might happen here.
And 53 key level here for BMNR without a doubt.
Sorry to interrupt you, though.
No, it's fine. Vic, to get back to that, most of the time, what I try to do is I try to just use the cash I have or a chunk of it. The big thing here is that there is never a point, there is never a day where I want my day trading, if it goes off of the rails, and believe me, that happens plenty. All right. Day trading is difficult. Don't let anyone tell you differently. If my day trading goes off of the rails, it is a complete failure if I have to sell another position to cover my poor day trading. I don't ever want to be in that position, so I just don't ever put myself in that position. If I'm having a rough day, dial back the size. If you're having a rough couple of days, dial back the size. I'm very, very against trading money that I don't have, because I don't want to be put in a position where now I have to come up with it, or now I have to liquidate a long-term thesis that I had, or even part of it for that. I try to keep all of that separate. I would say, as a general rule of thumb, for a day trade, I would probably never use more than 10% of your account, but I'm conservative. And it really depends on your own risk tolerance and risk profile and your overall balance. There's no hard and fast rule for everybody.
Yeah, and for me, it's just as simple. I don't have the same account that I use for trading that I use for long-term investing. They're two separate accounts. So it could be,
and that's another thing. So I have some long-term investments that aren't even touchable.
Yeah.
Right. But like I was just telling you guys about Portillo's, Andis, which I don't day trade. That's actually in the trading account that I'm talking about. And I would never want to make a day trade that altered the plan on any of those other stocks. I would wait for that to resolve before using more funds. I hope that's helpful for you.
Yeah. And I, when it comes to just my day trading account, which is, it's all I use it for. Theoretically, I could use all the cash that's in it, but I'm not going to, do that to myself where I'm just kind of throwing money around and seeing what sticks. Just follow your rules. For me, day trading, I never, get completely my account completely into everything. Yeah, I always have some cash. Never. So it's going to vary. I know some people like to do 1%, some people do 2%. And that's generally the rule that I have when I'm starting new long positions in my investment account. So hopefully that helps. But I keep those two accounts separate.
Yeah, I think that's good. Don't let one affect the other, I think, is the key. And don't overtrade. Sometimes, if you're trading for only a 10 or 15 cent pop, you might need several thousand shares as opposed to your regular 1,000 share position or something like that. Just don't. Remember, day trading can go off the rails very, very quick if you make a mistake. So do not put yourself in a position where it can affect some of your other decisions that you've made. You don't want to have to adjust long-term plans because of a short-term disturbance.
Robert, it's hard to not compare this to gambling, especially when we're in this market, which is very much behaving like a casino. So it's hard to not make that correlation. It's very, very close when it comes to especially day trading stocks. That's more akin to gambling. When it comes to longer term investing, I don't believe that's the case. I don't think that's gambling. I think day trading is gambling.
Yeah, I think day trading is more akin to gambling than long-term investing. I would agree with you.
Yeah. By the way, THAR, we're almost at that 850 spot that I was mentioning. I think Smoke Tuna was saying this could go to 10. That could be the case as well, but I do think we're going to run into some resistance at 850. Now, maybe that's temporary and we see this thing go to 10 later. But for now, I think 850 is going to be the next resistance area that we're going to see potential reversal at.
And for those of you that might have missed this is not the stock that you should be looking at to buy. You should not be chasing in this. The setup was earlier on this. If you missed it, don't fret. There will be another setup, but just don't chase this move, because I do think at some point, even if this does resolve higher, at some point you're going to see a pullback on this name. The last thing you want is to initiate a new position right there. That would be terrible. Okay, seeing some Tesla calls go off. Remember, Tesla reversed earlier. It was selling off right out of the open. Reverse did go green and holding green here. Now we're seeing some call buying. Like to see this maybe launch above 640 here. Oh my God, Lion saying keep nuke on your watch list. Remember that? Remember the nuke went nuclear when we traded this before. Lion here saying keep it on your watch list.
Yeah, that had a really big set of moves at the end of last year. That took it all the way up to 80. Now, now less than a year later, it's at 421. How about
Wild
that?
moves.
Wild
moves.
And what's crazy is that we also drew a trend line for this one, and that trend line it got the breakout. This is back. This trend line starts back in 2021, but you're thinking that where's this going to go? Do you think, Lion? Because I don't like this death cross that it just recently had last month. It still seems like it could go down to the 130s, maybe 150. Tell me what you think. Looks like I don't know that the selling is necessarily done yet. It might be, but we still have some simple moving averages to recapture, starting with the 20.
Okay, Tracy here saying, Ryan, can you show a good example of a setup? I don't have any great ones on board right now, but honestly, just kind of looking at BM&R, here's how I would look at this stock as a setup. This $53 has clearly provided some type of resistance to this area. So if you can punch above, we actually have a range carved out to about 53.88. So I would say that a break of 53 to the upside, in particular, if it is met with volume, probably has a propensity to go towards this $54 level. Conversely, if we do not break this, I think that this probably sells back off. What do we have down here? 52, 54. So that's what? The 9 EMA. That's probably going to be your first spot down there. Your VWAP is going to be a little bit lower down here.
Draw a trend line from the two. From the high of the pre-market and the high of the opening session. It's like the two. It's right there at the yes.
Here you go.
Right there.
So that, you know what? This is the setup then. That strengthens this setup. Tracy, if this moves through the trend line and moves through 53, we can say that this took out one of its intraday resistance areas, and this may be good for a trade. Now, a good setup doesn't mean it's going to work. Right? A good setup, it could very easily fail. We actually did have a setup on THAR. Sorry, it looked like that was just going to go right for 53 as I was talking. We actually had a good setup here on THAR. That was this.
THAR's going to halt.
THAR's going to halt up here at 908.
No, it was about to. They
pulled it off. Here was the setup. Tracy, just to answer your question, I know that this is not a current setup, so it's probably not what you were asking, but here's your setup. We had an impulse high in the pre-market right at the open. We actually re-challenged that high right out of the open and pulled back. And then we got the volume to come in at the same time that we took out this intraday high. This stock has launched $3 ahead of that breakout. This here was a setup. Okay, this here was a good setup. And again, you don't know that it's going to actually do that. When we broke through here, this thing just kept going. We've had multiple halts here, but something on the chart where that you can match up, like what's going to happen next if such and such happens. Well, if we break these two levels, it sure looks like THAR has a chance of going higher, and that's exactly what we got.
THAR hit 908 and immediately backed off, and now it's getting support from the $8 level. Price action is getting wild in this one.
Sideshow here says, I chased THAR at 750, but it's working for me. I'm raising my stops every 10 cents. I think that's what you mean. Okay. Okay. Sorry. I'm reading a number of comments here. Yeah. So the THAR setup. So just to kind of put some more specifics to this, Tracy, you had a point on the chart that clearly represented resistance, and then you had that exact level getting challenged with elevated volume. When we moved through that, to me, that's the sign of a trigger that this is a potential long move. Now, it might have been hard to hit that because it was moving pretty quickly, but as for a setup, there you go. And now we talked a little bit about BM&R. Let's see what happens here with BM&R. 13, we just added that trend line. That trend line sure looks like 53. 53 is the level that we got from the previous candles here. Watch, if this volume spikes up and we move through this would be a very similar setup.
Yeah, it's that trend line is giving resistance right now. It's going to need more volume, just like as you were saying. So if we don't get that volume, then this is that resistance level. But if we get it, I think we're breaking through this. Thar really coming in now.
Yeah, and Izzy's mentioning that open 6 calls are coming in. Izzy, you got a sharp eye, boss. I thought I saw that here. Indeed, we had open, the one that I'm seeing here, courtesy of Benzinga Pro, 4,000 contract sweep. This is for August 29th. This is this week. Traders spent $270,000 there on open 6 calls for this week. Izzy, that was a really good mention there, buddy.
Looks like open's gonna move now, or pretty soon. Just need to see. There we go. New session highs, 552.
Almost as if those calls kind of lit it, huh?
Yeah. You found the spark that ignited the entire gas station.
Well, geez, let's a gas station on fire frightens me. That's no good.
Oh, but it looks so pretty. Fire.
Who would have thought that 13 died in a freak gasoline fight?
No. Fires is pretty.
Oh, man, Zoolander. It's been a while since I've seen that one. What else we got? We were just talking about setups. What else we got here?
I'll just wait to see if... Go ahead. Yeah,
OPAD might be done, I'm thinking. Yeah,
that couldn't get back above that trend line that we drew. Lost VWAP. We're coming down to some support around 215. It looks like 220, 215. 65 EMA is down at 215. Looks like caps is going lower, getting some support from the 65 EMA right now. OSRH, that's kind of sideways.
Yep.
ASST, that's not able to get back above 525.
Sorry for interrupting. What's INHD? This is popping here on volume. Let's see if there was news accompanying this.
It's popping in HD.
It's popping in HD. I don't see any news on this, folks. Let me know if you guys see anything out here. INHD popping here on volume. We are at the highs. Actually, we had a nice little flag here that this. So Tracy, again, just to kind of come back to this impulse move. Then you had some consolidation as people digest the impulse move. And then guess what? When the high of the impulse move got taken out on volume, look at the result.
So with INHD, this is in the metals and mining space. They are, let's see, they're transforming the industry, construction industry with its proprietary cold formed steel framing technology and other innovations. Trying to think if there's any news that could be related to this, maybe on the tariff side, maybe on the critical minerals side. Just kind of thinking if what could be causing this, because yes, there is no news today. It looks like they also did approve a reverse stock split. Maybe that there's somebody that caught wind of that happening soon, and we're going to see some news halt happening at some point. I don't know. I don't know the reason why it's going up. I'm all just speculating here about why it could be, but we do have an idea.
Dive deep here saying INHD increased its revenue by 100%. So yeah, I'm sorry. I don't have that here in the news feed.
But that they had their earnings back in July. That news is like almost a month old.
Oh, okay. So got it. So we did have it in there. It's just old.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's what's moving it today. Like I said, I don't have an exact reason, but it is in the industry of metals and mining. So there might be something that has to do with infrastructure or critical minerals or something to that effect that's causing it to move. Hey, it's all good. Dive deep. You're good, man.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. Look, anytime you guys are trying to figure out why a stock is moving, there's no shade. Sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong. If you're trying to figure out the why, you're already on the right track. So no shade at all. We all make mistakes. When we get replaced by the robots that Elon Musk is building, then maybe we can be a little bit more critical. But while we're keeping humans in the loop, by the way, we're going to be a little bit flexible on mistakes. That's not going to be a problem. Also seeing some Intel calls get bought here. AAOI, Applied Optoelectronics, which has been a great trade for this group. That's moving higher here. Also seeing some calls on that. How's Intel doing today? Okay, Intel is basically holding where it opened. Webcoin saying sure, but 100% of what? I mean, 100% of $2 is $4 in sales there. So you might have incomplete information there. BMNR yanked and got bought right back up to where it was at, by the way. So BMNR not going away, at least not easily.
It's trying to hang in there.
I'm seeing IXHL getting tweeted about by FinTwit now, so I think more eyes are going to that stock.
Which one?
IXHL. It's not, I know it's close to INHD. It's not the same. IXHL. In fact, didn't we trade this one or talk about this one last week?
Maybe. This was this is moving on a share buyback. Okay. And I think if it did move, it was not last week, but it was probably the week before.
Yeah,
Friday, August 8th, they announced patient-reported outcomes efficacy data for their phase 2 results of IHL-42X.
By the way, AREC here. That's AREC. This is American Resource. Oh, you know what? Let me make sure that we don't have an all access here. We do not. Okay, we're good for the next 12 minutes. AREC, AREC. This had a good day on Friday, a good day on Thursday, and is getting some continuation on really good buying volume here today. I actually had one of my buddies, one of my trading buddies, reached out to me with a story here from USA Today, and I'm going to share it with you. Here's the story. I'm going to throw the link in the chat. I have no position on this, but I'm noticing it move because this got mentioned recently. This story was from August 21st. In the global race for rare earth mineral dominance, one company believes the U.S. has everything it needs to be right there. That is AREC, American Resources. Link in the chat there for you. Boy, 13, we've had a good morning. Again, I'm glad to be back, buddy. I am glad to be. I missed all you folks. I mean, I'm glad I won, and I'm glad I played a lot of golf, but I missed you folks, and I am happy to be back.
You sound like you came back here with the wind at your back, man.
I sure did. I sure did. Look, a win on the golf course will do that. And I played terrible on Friday, and the amount of smack talk that I received from the opposing team on Friday, that was the bitter, and the victory just made it even sweeter.
I know. You were just doing this now. No.
Actually, it's funny. My partner did that. Oh, by the way, BMNR broke that. Sorry for getting that was too excited there. That was too excited. But look, the reason I'm excited is because Tracy's question, we're getting it to play out now. So we broke this area, Tracy. I'd like to see more volume than this. But if it can hold now that it's broke above 53, maybe BMNR next spot here about 54. They just yanked it beneath 53. Let's see what happens in the closing of this candle. We're back testing the trend line.
Is Eric Jackson the next roaring kitty?
That's the guy that Jay's asking that. That's the guy that floated the thesis on Open Door initially.
Yeah, Open Door still pushing up. It's continuing to make new session highs.
Sean B says INHD. Wow, thank you guys. Sean, thanks for clicking the right buttons at the right time there. I'm glad you're having a morning. That's phenomenal. BMNR came back into 53 here.
Okay. Let's see here. What else?
Gotta tell you what, this BMNR looks like this wants to go higher.
It looks like VELO may have finally found some support around that 200 EMA on the 5-minute. Still having a hard time recapturing some of these EMAs, and the VWAP is still a little ways away at 436. At least that's what mine is. You might have a different one, but it's slowly trying to turn around on some pretty low volume.
Sophique saying, what do you think of a 250, 912, 70 covered call on BMNR? Are you selling it? Are you selling the call for 250 and then they'll just call your shares away at 70 if it closes above that? I mean, So I'm assuming then that you've bought BM&R shares a lot less than 70. And frankly, that's not a bad way to exit that position. If it doesn't close above 70, you're just going to collect the money off the call. Let me know if that's what you're thinking there. That's not if it's how I'm outlining it here, I don't think that's a bad trade at all. I'll rephrase. Eric Jackson is legit and Roaring Kitty is an idiot. Okay. I'm glad for you to be back as well. I'm glad to be back talking. Yeah, Sofek, you're selling the call. So I'm gonna assume that you're pretty healthily in gain, which means this is basically an exit strategy where you're trying to extract some more premium from it. I like that. I think I like it a little bit more if this is only partial of your position. In other words, if your BM&R shares get called away and you still have some in case it keeps moving, I think I like this plan even more because you're basically taking money up front to then have the privilege to liquidate it at 70 should you close above that. And then if not, you just collect it. I like it. I think it's a good thought there. I think, and I think the reason you're asking is because you're trying to maximize the gains out of this trade, and that will always get you points. That's always the right thing to do. BM&R 15 cents moving above that $53 level, and now 30 cents above that level. That is going to keep going there.
THAR is down at its view up again, and if it doesn't get support here, then this is probably going to fall even further. But it could turn around later in the day, but for if VWAP doesn't hold, that this could continue to print lower.
ASST, this is one that we talked about earlier. Pretty much all pre-market show no go. This thing really didn't do much of anything here today. Smoke Tuna saying that the THAR buy zone here is 7. This is actually back into its VWAP right now at 738. INHD, do we have more here? Yeah, we sure do. INHD more on this one. Something is up here. I don't know what it is, though. I haven't seen anything that I feel confident about on that.
Yeah, let's see. The short interest is not really anything to get excited about.
Nope.
The float
2%, wasn't it?
Yeah, the float's like 6.9 million shares. So it's what we're looking for, but not so low that it's one person is able to move it around with ease. I don't know the reason this is going. There's probably something coming later on today that we'll know about, but for now, it doesn't seem like there's any reveal. Just do it a little quick here, a little look around real fast. Let me just see here.
Ondas might be going for some new highs here. BM&R continuing higher. I like that we discussed the setup while it was happening, and then we actually got to see the resolution of that. BM&R has popped 57 cents from that 53 break. Lion says the one to watch is PPTA. It has the government backing. Kev, take care of yourself. Have a great rest of your Monday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Yep, take care. I'm just trying to see if there was something that came up with INHD that we just haven't heard about.
It is kind of a really small cap company, so maybe it's at some obscure spot, but I haven't seen it. And our news desk is really good at uncovering that stuff, and I still haven't seen it. And I'm looking at my stock guys here that are normally, on everything that's moving here. I don't see any posts.
I'm seeing a lot of news, some questionable articles, we'll say, that suggest that this was going to start to happen today. These are like hours old news articles. So I don't know if this is probably just being pumped by some small investor group or by a series of people online in a chat room. It just seems like what this could be moving on, since I'm not really seeing anything other than just discussion about momentum and potential, entry positions. Nothing really fundamental or anything that has to do with the company specifically. You know what I'm saying?
Transform the construction industry with his proprietary cold-formed steel framing technology and other innovations. Am I missing something on it? Is that like... It offers a full range of services to transform raw materials into precise steel framing products
And prefabricated homes.
and
There it
prefab
is.
homes.
That could be it. Remember what Felicia was saying?
Yeah, that was the multifamily dwellings were up something like several 100% in terms of sales. Maybe, you know what, 13, I'm going to make a note of this here. Keep me in line. If we see Felicia tonight, let's ask her about this, because even if she doesn't know off the top of her head, she's an ace when it comes to research. So let me actually.
That seems like the most likely angle. The prefabricated.
I agree with you.
We talked about this. We did about that specifically.
Well, good mention here from the chat. Yeah, I'm thankfully you guys are on top of everything.
Yep.
10 mil market cap with 1 mil in revenues. This is not expensive either.
Jared, that's not a bad idea. It is starting to look a little bit toppy here on the 5-minute chart, from what I can tell. That's in HD. So
plus you got a good move, and don't look now. We got 200% runners. This and OSRH.
Yep, and it's still pushing higher. 275 now.
If you guys bought this earlier, plenty of time to get gains on this one. Plenty of time.
And you know, I don't know what your plan is. If you have a plan, great. Don't let me disrupt it. But you know, don't be afraid to take gains if you don't have one. Just, make sure you're paying yourself as it rises.
Yeah.
Don't know where this party ends. BM&R, man, that was fantastic. We're approaching the pre-market highs now.
Let's go, dude. Thanks for asking about setups, Tracy, because we got to do this one live because of your awesome question. Way to go. Way to go. Hopefully folks hit that. So let's keep talking about setups. All right. So we talked about 53 being a potential trigger there. We had a chart spot. We wanted to see more volume. Now we're at, we didn't see a huge volume spike, but we are seeing some elevated volume. We had a trend line and we had a spot on the chart to go through. Now the chart is telling me 55 or 54-ish, just shy of 54. Someone else said 55. This was going to be your after hours high. So I'd say 54, 55. I would say if you played this on a 43 break, set your stop, either set a trailing stop or set your stop above entry so it's impossible for you to lose at this point. That would be one way I would handle it if I was in this trade.
It's been fantastic Monday morning, folks.
Yeah, it really has. And I am glad to be back. And just like that, 13, we're out of time. So this fantastic morning goes by fast when it's so fantastic. Might as well call us the Fantastic 2. Can I be Mr. Fantastic? Okay, we're not going to copy superheroes anymore. 13, any closing words for the group?
Well, folks, it's great to have Ryan back, and I'm glad you're all here to experience his return. And we'll have more of this.
And it is an experience.
We'll find more of those juicy setups, and we'll trade them. We'll be back here at this tomorrow. And until then, hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the day, and have a good evening. Take care. Bye-bye.
Perfect. Well done, 13. Folks, Trader Bacon next here. We're going to send you right over there. I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad to see all of you here today. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. We'll do it again tomorrow. I promise.